Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening. Welcome back to another monthly final. We are heading over to the mainland China region today for some more Brawl-tastic action. Joining me today is my co-host Teddie. How are you doing, my G?
I'm doing great, Arg. I'm excited about tonight's match, or today's matches, depending on your time zone, of course. Yeah, later on we'll have Falcone join in for the broadcast as well. I'm looking forward to this, Arg.
Yeah, me too. It's a brand new meta to explore. There's been balance changes. There's been a brand new update since we last saw everybody, unless you, of course, join us for the East Asia region just today for some exciting games there. So players are still like learning through the meta, and you know, of course, to get to this stage in itself is a real challenge to achieve.
Yeah, I mean, the early stages of the meta are always really fun. Some nice experimenting is going to take place today, and I think it's going to be great for any region to kind of look where things are at right now in competitive.
Yeah, absolutely that. And let's just remind ourselves of the format as well, going up to today, what players have had to go through to achieve getting to this stage of the competition, because it's obviously the in-game challenge where you have to succeed in defeating 15 games before 4 losses. I think that's very important to remember that that's actually not that easy in itself to achieve. You kind of have to make sure that you go in with some buddies to give yourself the best possible chance.
Yeah, after that, you have the monthly qualifiers where thousands of teams battle it out across all the regions. And that brings us now to the final stage, the monthly finals, right? This is what it's all about. This is where you get the most points. It's going to be a single elimination bracket for the top 8 teams of each region. Best of three for the quarterfinals. Will move on to a best of 5 sets, best of 3 games in the semifinals and grand finals. 2 brawler bans per team, blind bans. This is something we've been talking, a lot about the 2 bans really impacting the meta.
Yeah, absolutely that. And teams have to be very cautious in that approach to, they don't want to take too many risks. Ultimately, if the same brawler is banned on both sides, it cancels each other out. The ban's still in motion, of course. But, you've got to be cautious in that respect to ban correctly, ban wisely, and make sure that you eradicate the highest risks in terms of the meta.
Yeah, for sure. And it leaves, once again, a bit more room for experimenting, for bringing some new brawlers on the table. And I think it's been a great addition to this season, really, really mixing things up for Brawl competitive.
Exactly, and get those brawlers out of the mix, because let's talk about the prize pool. Over $1 million is at stake. So players have to be very careful when it comes to those decision-making processes. Make sure that they are doing the right things at the right times and giving themselves that best possible chance to get in on the money.
Absolutely, Arg. Let's get a quick overview of the bracket for today's matches. First of all, I mean, obviously Nova Esports, they are the favorites across the regions. They've been the most consistent, and they've been really consistent when you think about it, and getting results already last year, but getting even stronger this year. They'll be facing Jazzy in this first round. Afterwards, we'll move on to ATM versus TIGERBRO, TIG Origin versus Bro, and Trick of China versus CLS.
Cannot wait to see this month whether Nova Esports can be victorious yet again and bring home the victory, but they got a long way to do it. And Jazzy, I think, we're going to have to, put up a bit of a fight here. We are looking at a very, very strong team. Obviously, Nova Esports did qualify last year at Worlds to go on to play there. So they've got some pretty decent experience behind them today.
Yeah, for sure. Here are the names today. OU and Aspartam. And then we have Toxic, Auth, and Chef for Jazzy. Yeah, I mean, it looks like a bit of a one-sided matchup. Obviously Nova Esports have been dominating through this region, been absolutely impressing everyone. Jazzy, they're going to have a lot to prove today in this matchup.
Yeah, they're coming in as, arguably the underdogs, but at the same time, they've only got a lot to prove today, and they've got the opportunity to do just that. So I love so much about the format. I know I say it every stream, but it does bring in a great amount of new talents and new teams to the table to really go up against the Giants. And I think that it could be very much a David and Goliath story in that respect.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's absolutely what I'm hoping to see. I mean, we always kind of cheer for the underdogs. But in the end, we just want exciting matches, you know what I mean? And I think that Jazzy, they're definitely coming in wanting to bring that. This is their chance to get their name on the spot, get some spotlight, right? And they're gonna fight their hardest to make it work here against Nova Esports. Once again, a team that has had such solid results. Jazzy, this is their first time qualifying for monthly finals, so they don't have quite as much experience, but some freshness can always take them by surprise.
Yeah, and talking about taking people by surprise, Snake Prairie is going to be our first map up today. Of course, the game mode being Bounty, followed by Backyard Bowl and Brawl Ball, and some assembly required after that in Heist, if we, of course, get to that stage and there's no clean sweeps on the cars. But yeah, Snake Prairie, the meta with that, I think it's going to be quite interesting. I don't know whether it's going to have changed too much given the nature of the map, but with these bans, I mean, that's going to make a big difference on things. Straight away, I'm looking at Piper and Colette as being kind of a standout two that would be quite relevant in this particular game mode, as well as Colonel Ruffs and Stu. What do you make of that, Teddie?
I mean, it kind of feels like on Jazzy's side, the bans are a bit more targeting the two first maps, which makes sense. You're the underdog. You want to make sure you don't get swept, because if you go for something that is a bit more versatile, you might not get to that third map, so it doesn't really matter. I think that's a really wise decision. Don't know if I agree 100% with something like Piper, but on the other hand, on Nova Esports, we have some very classic bans, Ruffs and Stu. They've been some of the most banned brawlers across any region, so no big surprise there. I feel like, as you said, meta-wise, we can kind of expect the same as usual for Snake Prairie. Bo, Tara, not really getting changed too much. Do you think any new brawler can come in? Well, Rosa, obviously, and that's going to be a mirror comp arc.
Yeah, this is what I expect to see. I couldn't agree more, actually. I think that you're quite correct in saying that I think the bans on Jazzy's side are pretty much as a direct result of the early maps and modes. I think that's a smart move. I mean, you're playing up against Nova Esports. I mean, they're no Boy Scouts. They've been in this position before. So give themselves the best possible chance to get through the earliest stages of this matchup. I think it's a really strong idea going into this match.
Yeah, I mean, it shows at least there's some level of strategy even before the match actually starts. Now, Nova Esports, they got that blue star. That's going to be giving them some extra positioning since they can play it a bit more defensively. Nice pull onto Toxic. That's going to be a kill, and the response from Auth is going to be a missed pull. Aspartam does get taken out, but it's still the one-star lead in favor of Nova Esports.
Yeah, and having that lead, honestly, such a big factor when it comes to Bounty. Just having that additional pressure to inflict on your opposition and push them into places which they didn't really want this to go, as today gets a nice pull in and does get the takedown as well on Toxic. That's going to extend the lead for Nova.
Yeah, this is a really solid position for Nova Esports. Now, Jazzy are going to be the team that needs to push up, that needs to get up close and find some kills, find some stars. And that's always just making things more difficult. A nice pull there, connecting on two players that does get traded out. It's going to be keeping that lead up for Nova Esports by 3 stars. Toxic is getting really up close against OU, and that's not really a very, very good position when you're facing a Rosa.
I like the back and forth here. I gotta say, I like the aggression from Jazzy at the moment, possibly placed in the wrong areas. But there's been a couple of misplays from Nova as well early on as they start to get their groove on and find their pacing here. Some promise, I would say, some moments of pressure, but Nova Esports looks relatively comfortable under that side of things.
Yeah, I feel like very quickly it escalated. I mean, you can see we have a bit of a messy fight towards the end. As you said, very back and forth. But when you have such a wide lead already, star-wise, in the end, it's just going to be favoring Nova Esports, especially as they have some of the kills that don't really get traded out by Jazzy, and that just widens up that lead. In the end, it was pretty much just a clean sweep. So, yeah, good stuff there from Nova Esports. Yeah, pretty impressive stuff overall. You can see a bit less death on Aspartame for the bow matchup, which in Bounty, that's something that people tend to forget sometimes. It's not really about finding kills rather than actually just surviving.
Look at that from Aspartame as well for the team damage side of things, 41%. So definitely taking the reins in that respect. 2 stars gained as well. But you know, obviously, as you say, Bo's role is quite specific in Snake Prairie. You know, your job is really ideally to share the vision amongst your team to extend your reach in the bush, and you know, not necessarily in that respect the most aggressive of your team. I would say that, you know, Tara takes a lot of the forefront of that, and Rosa for kind of getting up close and personal. So I like what I'm seeing so far. I'm kind of curious to see whether we'll see any brawler mix-ups. I personally don't think we will. I think this is pretty much for me the best 3 brawlers you can really go into a Snake Prairie matter.
Yeah, I agree. They're kind of the go-tos at the moment. We are going to be seeing more of the same indeed. However, HP-wise, that was a really tough start here for Nova Esports. Going to have to slow things down, and the red star, or sorry, the blue star rather, going the way of Jazzy, the red team. Yeah, it's a much better start here. The pool is a miss. Ooh, might actually find a lot of value there. He's going to pick up 1 kill. Can't quite find a lot more. Does get traded out, but Chef is really low HP, and that's going to be the trade. Blue star now on Nova Esports. Those mines blocking off rotations. That's actually pretty good from Jazzy, but it's not enough to isolate Aspartame enough to take him out.
Yeah, worth noting as well that Nova Esports do have the blue star in their possession. So in the event that the score does not change, they will come away with the victory here. Best of 3 still. So a bit of a brutal stage, always as always in the quarterfinals here. So, you know, Nova Esports at the moment looking good under pressure. They are, however, in a bit of a spawn trap here. And if Jazzy can close the gap, we might see a change of hands.
Nice pull. Shouldn't result in a kill quite yet, but look at OU. He's trying to sneak up on that left side. Does get scouted by the unfriendly bushes from Chef. We have a mispull from Alf as well. A bit of a Rosa duel getting joined in by the rest of the team. Nice double pull from today. Yeah, that's going to be a double kill. Chef in a lot of trouble. Gets pulled as well. This is a team wipe for Nova Esports as they widen up that lead. 7 stars difference. Things are looking good for Nova. This is going to be the last chance for Jazzy.
A crucial moment there for Nova Esports. The draw was obviously there, but having that lead, such a vital asset to just securing the victory, and obviously goes a long way to demoralize your opposition. Jazzy now on the back foot are going to have to dig deep, find something within themselves to bring this one back. I would say for me, at the most part, you know, we didn't really ever see an instance where Jazzy were on the back foot. They weren't really ever in their spawn. So I've got to say, I like the pressure that they are placing upon Nova Esports. But again, you've got to come home with the results. And if you can't do that, then you're going to be going home packing early on.
Yeah, I agree. It kind of felt like halfway there, you know, like they were getting up close. They were getting some good fights going, but they were just not really able to close any of them out in their favor. So control wasn't all that bad. But yeah, if you look at the numbers, at some point, those skills are going to be very valuable. And I just think that overall, the fights were much better executed for Nova. Although control-wise, it was very back and forth, and we had some nice aggressions. Yeah, just overall, really nice stats for today. He played really well with the team. That's kind of what you expect with Zataro as well. Whereas earlier we saw the bow that had more damage. It's more kind of consistent damage, whereas Sarah can really come in with a burst and a lot of crowd control with that super, obviously.
Yeah, sometimes even just having it is a massive deterrent for the opposition, and you never want to be getting too close to a tower with super. As you can see, the value that you can obtain with those double and triple sucks, it's a very, very dangerous brawler to go up against in Snake Prairie. But moving on, of course, we are now past the bounty phase, going into the Brawl phase, Backyard Bowl, of course, the map. So definitely a more interesting array of brawlers here, a bit more of a versatile meta, some long-range brawlers, of course, on the cards. Byron is available here, but it'd be interesting to see whether he still has as much of a place. Poker received a really nice buff since the balance changes. Frank had some HP added to him as well, so I think that, for me, actually a double tank heal comp wouldn't be so bad here on Backyard Bolt if you can close that gap very quickly.
I think it can be a pretty surprising move as well, since it's not necessarily the Brawl map where you expect the most Poker double tank. Whereas, in the past, Poker double tank used to be very surprising. It's not really anymore, but this is the map to do it. And what scares me a bit was Backyard Bowl here and Snake Prairie, both maps being in the mix here in this matchup, is they're kind of some of the more difficult maps to go really crazy on the compositions, because you kind of have some go-to brawlers and you have a bit less versatility than other maps. So I don't know, maybe Jazzy can surprise us. They surprise us with the bans. So yeah, I'm curious to see how those comps are going to be looking like.
Yeah, Piper and Colette are kind of viable in Backyard Bowl. I wouldn't say that they're the go-tos. Maybe they were kind of anticipating that Nova Esports might go in with that strategy, so I can see it still being viable here. But yeah, if it was something that they did in terms of their strategy going into Backyard Bowl, it could turn around in their favor. At the same time, if they've kind of maybe preempted that a bit too prematurely, might go against them at the same time. But definitely some other balance changes to mention, of course. BB had a bit of a nerf to her batting style power. We saw that being very prominent in the meta in the previous months prior to this. So might see less of her now in Brawl as a result of that. Byron, as we mentioned already, had a bit of a nerf to his main attack damage as well. So definitely some big players that were in Backyard Bowl in terms of the meta might be less viable today. And I'm kind of curious to see, as we do see a lot of metas form, in regionalized areas, that what Mainland trying to bring to the table today. Barley is another really honorable mention as a brawler, which had a really substantial and favorable buff.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, specifically on Backyard Bowl, I feel like the middle is maybe a bit too wide for Barley. But yeah, we see some Crow action. This is something that, Mainland China was known for, but now he's just really in the meta anyway. So it's a really nice pick to see. Obviously, 8-bit hasn't really been touched. Max also still a really good brawler. So overall, we have some good comps here on both sides. Yeah, we have a Byron on Jazzy and the Poco on Nova Esports. That's going to be kind of, a very different types of healing coming from both sides.
Yeah, I've got to say, I agree. I love the Crow coming into the meta, and it's been highly picked in the EMEA region, and that's a really good sign for me of promise in terms of Mainland China's awareness of the meta and how they're adapting to various things. I love to see some synergy and some similarities across regions in that respect. So a nice takedown as Nova starts to advance up here with the max speed. The Crow jump into the mid. Nice pass, and I don't think it was even necessarily needed, but today just making sure to seal the deal. I think that there's no problems with that. An early lead then for Nova Esports.
Yeah, this is really strong from Nova Esports. I have to say, Jazzy looked a bit better early on. They had some better map control. They were looking like they were the team on the aggressive. But it really changed extremely quickly. I mean, with a max, that's what you're expecting, right? Really quick changes of speed and of pace. And Nova putting that at really good use. They are going to be losing a player, so that push is going to be slowing down a bit. And maybe we get a chance for Jazzy to push forward and get some action on that bottom side of the map. But it's not looking like that, Ark.
Yeah, it's difficult against the max when you're running 8-bit, and there's going to be a bit of a miss by that. Actually, a great gadget there, usage from Overseas comes back to defend. But I do think that Nova getting that early goal lead is a really important thing to note here, because it places so much pressure onto Jazzy, and they're staring down the barrel of a match point scenario here, Teddie.
Yeah, of course, Jazzy, they need to do something in those next 7 seconds. The problem is, from that distance, there's just no chance to get anywhere close that Nova goal. Oh, today might have almost scored there to just seal the deal at the last second anyways. But yeah, Nova looking strong. Jazzy, it's going to be do or die already. This has been a really quick match so far. We like the strategy overall of, you know, going for those early game or early maps rather bans, but so far it's not exactly working out for Jazzy.
Yeah, I think they wanted to go into Bounty running that, you know, that kind of same sort of meta of Tara, Bow, and Rosa, and I think that maybe they'd been better served to maybe get rid of Tara, trying to mix things up in that respect rather than just kind of go for, you know, some brawlers which I don't think are really that meta in St. Prairie. I think they're kind of like maybe like below what you would go to for both of these two maps, and you know, I think that maybe banning some higher hitters would have been a good shout here, but. There is still time to turn things around. You know, we are still one game away from Nova proceeding the competition. You know, we've seen reverse sweeps happen in this competition. It excites me every time. That's why I always like to remind myself that it can happen if you just believe. But I have a tendency to jinx these things. And as soon as I say something like that, it goes the opposite way. So, but one thing's for sure for me right now is that Nova are looking consistent. They're making good choices and putting pressure on in pretty much every instance.
Yeah, I mean, so far it just really looks like Nova has a whole other level, you know what I mean? Like, Jazzy hasn't really shown any competition so far in this match. Doesn't mean they don't have what it takes to make that happen. Just so far, it's not really been going their way, and I haven't seen too many opportunities to get some goals or take a lead anywhere. So they need to make some changes here. I do like their comp. They're bringing in the Barley arc.
I love this from Nova. Yeah, Barley for me in a really, really dangerous position, having that really favorable buff. 20 more HP, 9% main attack range increase, and that I think is the biggest story to tell when it comes to Barley. With Sprout's nerf, I think we're going to see a lot more of Barley in the esports meta to come.
Yeah, we OU is a TP Ford finds the kill onto Toxic. Jazzy, so far, this is the most aggressive we've seen them in this match, and the closest they were from that goal, but it's only Alf left alive. He's gonna go for a super find some value, but gets melted down by OU, and this is once again not looking too bad for Nova Esports as they move forward, trying to find some better positioning. This is the most important part now, as we have that Barley that is in that aggressive position that has some walls to use as cover, and that's where he's going to be shining.
And a bit of a miss super as well from Jazzy 1. The Max didn't quite kind of get that on point, ended up passing the ball as a super pass. Worth pointing out, however, that you know, Jazzy 1 do have a bit of an advantage in terms of the Mortis versus Barley matchup. Today is running the healing tonic as opposed to sticky syrup, so it does allow Oak to be able to really go on the aggressive, but right now the control with Nova is what I'm taking away from this, and only one goal away, and this could be it coming up from moving on in the competition and sending Jazzy 1 home early.
Yeah, and it's not looking bad. Once again, getting to this position with a Barley is hard enough, but once you're there, you're really getting rewarded for that push, as you're basically unstoppable here. Yeah, that's going to be the goal from OU. Nova Esports already moving on to the semifinals with a quick match here. Pretty dominant, just victory, you know, like... There's not too much to say. I felt like Nova was showing some really solid Brawl stars, and Jazzy was not able to match it in this game.
Yeah, some great plays from Nova. I love the amount of crow jumps and you know, 8-bit gadget for the win. Sheet cartridge coming in clutch at the end is to kind of get those goals secured. Gotta say, still looking for me a very, very dominant force in the mainland China region, and one not to be underestimated at any given point in time. Very good awareness of the meta. I like the change-ups as well, and already adapting to the buffs and nerfs that we've seen in the most recent balance changes. And here you see the stats as well. Much more average kills on the Nova side of things as opposed to Jazzy there. More average deaths, which I don't think necessarily is a bad thing. I think it shows more aggression a lot of the time, as long as you're still achieving control, which is the main story to take home. I think that's never a bad thing to see.
Exactly. In the end, in most game modes, you know, kill death ratios don't really matter the most. You're going to be looking much more at, as you said, control and playing as a team, looking for the objectives. That's actually quite a lot of DPS there from OU. Obviously, you know, with that Rosa, he was putting some really solid work in that Snake Prairie set. and was almost something like 2.5 3 KD. That's impressive, man.
Yeah, I mean, when you're popping your super and more often than not going up against your opposition playing Rosa with super as well, you're able to exert a fair amount of damage, and over time that all adds up and adds to those stats. But yeah, for me, I've got to say, I like where Nova are looking in their heads today. They've come in calm, collected, and again, the control is there. They are putting pressure on places where teams are falling early on. They will go through now then to the semi-finals, and keen to see who our teams today is going to be end up facing them next.
Yeah, and that's going to be either ATM or TIGERBRO, as they are our second quarterfinal. As you just said, Ark, the winner of this one is going to be joining Nova in the semifinals. Yeah, those are two teams that I believe have very little experience in the monthly finals so far. The names are Ming Chang, Seko, and someone. And on the TIGERBRO roster, rather, we have YK, HU, and Cannon.
Well, both of these two teams did not compete in the last month's monthly finals, so I'm really kind of keen to see what they're going to bring today. I've got to be honest, when it comes to lesser-known teams, I feel like underestimating them could be a mistake that you live to regret. So I think that at this level, to get to this stage of the competition, all teams will be having their guard up in that respect and not taking anything for granted going into our next matchup map. GG Mortuary it is going to be. Heist is the game mode. First time we'll see it today, and you know, a long-range affair for the most part, I would say. We see a lot of Colt opening up the map very, very early on in the majority of regionalized metas. Be kind of keen to see whether any of those strategies do develop today, but we might even be banned. Let's check it out. Poco double ban, so some awareness there. Yeah, and Stu also. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, Poco feels like maybe a response to the recent buff. I mean, a mirror ban on Poco is not something I've seen very often. It is a brawler that, you know, is pretty strong and has always been like very, very much played, you know, with those tanks. And that's been across all regions as well. Stu, still kind of in a place where he has been nerfed, but we're not too sure if it's, you know, enough of a nerf. And the teams, they don't want to even have to find that out yet. So rather save bans there. I'm still a bit curious about that Poco ban. I feel like on those 3 maps, Poco is not really what scares me the most. Like on Split, you see it a bit. On Minecart Madness, you see it a little bit as well, but I wouldn't call him a dominant brawler on those 3 maps.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that for sure. I think that's a good brawler ban, potentially.
Oh, no, Colt.
Maybe not for the maps. Yeah, going over the Brock and the rocket fuel to break up things, but only on the ATM side. So that's one weakness to note. Obviously, the Surge will have teleport through to be able to advance through that barrier, but aside from that, you know, TIGERBRO definitely want to keep those walls for the Barley. That could be a strategy which, you know, ATM adopt and break, and there you go straight away. Moose not wasting any time in that respect, so I do like this from ATM. If they can keep this mid control, assert some pressure, gain some supers in the process, and keep away from that Edgar, I like where this is heading.
Yeah, it's a very different matchup, right? TIGERBRO, they are playing around the walls, whereas ATM, they want them all gone. They have those sniper long-range brawlers, and I feel like it's going to be a story of time here. TIGERBRO, they need to find a lot of value early on, hopefully even finish this game early on, because the further we get into this game, the harder it's going to be as the map will be opening up more. So far, I have to say, TIGERBRO doing an excellent job at finding some value. Cannon being a really good distraction. He's going to use costing a super from Seko as well. So he's just staying alive forever, pretty much. He goes down as I say that, but it's an almost 50% lead in favor of TIGERBRO.
And running rings around ATM, and they are really struggling to get that takedown. Edgar not really in the strongest of places in the meta, in my opinion. But I've got to say, I like where he is going with this one. Like at the moment, if he just continues to juke these shots out and just advance them, going in again on Moose, gets a double takedown there, which will relieve a little bit of pressure for ATM. But yeah, more often than not, we've seen him on the defense here.
Yeah, and as I said earlier, the more the map is going to be opening up, the harder it's going to get for TIGERBRO. The thing is, so far, they're the ones with a lot of middle control. Nice snipe from someone. Cannon is quite low HP himself, gets taken out by Seko. This is gonna be one of the final pushes of this game and the final chance for ATM to find some nice value. Good super from Seko. That's quite a bit of damage, but is it gonna be enough? 10% difference. Someone needs to find some more shots, finds one more. I don't think that's enough, Arc.
Oh, so close to the star power coming clutch, but not going to happen. 4% was in it. It was a really strong attempt at the end to turn things around in that final moment. So got to give credit to them for that. But yeah, not enough, just not quite enough.
Yeah, this is honestly, like, comp-wise, not really the result I expected. I feel like, you know, in the meta overall, you want to go for those longer range brawlers on this map. You want to go for that destruction. But I want to commend TIGERBRO for going for something a bit out of the ordinary, at least in the current meta for GG Mortuary. And I do think that the Edgar has a lot to do with it. He's been able to just snipe off those players and take them out. Look at that, 7 kills. He was dying a lot as well, but he was just constantly just jumping in and being a constant distraction. There was just no time and no resources available on the blue side, because he just constantly, like, they were constantly using their supers to take him down, so they had no supers to really open the map further up.
Yeah, and if you're playing Barley, you know, one thing about that is that, you know, if you are running Sticky Syrup Mixer, it's good deterrent of Egger, but it's very difficult, especially if that jump is on point. You can slow down Egger, but you can't really get the takedown necessarily, and you got to hope that your teammates are within range to really pick up that situation. And if the Egger plays it right and they just, you know, get the positioning on point, very little that you can really do running that comp in that scenario. So some things to think about, I would say. Some things to potentially reconsider, switch up, or maybe both sides of things. You know, I do think that regardless of having a lead, you know, making some changes never a bad thing. But no,
yeah, we have
the same thing, it seems. Oh, Amber.
Oh no, someone is gonna be rocking that Amber. Not entirely sure if that's gonna be making the biggest difference. We'll have to find out. I feel like in the Edgar matchup, it's not, you know, the most impactful, but it can do all right against a Surge, for instance. Although Surge did get buffed, actually, quite a good damage buff, if I recall.
Yeah, a bit of a damage boost for Surge. I think the range, like you rightly say, is going to lend itself better to an Amber Surge matchup on the left-hand side, but ATM not really switching that up, but are moving up the map at the moment, getting some pressure onto the Barley there as well. I've got to say, I love the fact that ATM have got a player called Someone, because it just makes it, in terms of a casting perspective, so much more comical to say that someone is placing down some pressure on the right-hand side. We know what we're talking about. It's just
we don't know who, but someone.
But I got to say, I do like the control that we are seeing from ATM. They keep the ranges at bay, and we'll keep an eye on Cannon for me as well, because that's a big factor in terms of the TIGERBRO strategy here.
Yeah, he's the trigger for TIGERBRO. He's going to be pulling it now as well as he trade themselves out. It's a 2-on-2. Nice TP from YK. I like that aggression, but that super from Seko is going to be finding some good early value. So far, it is a lead for TIGERBRO, but look at this. Someone and Moose absolutely melting down TIGERBRO, and they're getting in a bit of a better position. Interesting team attacks from someone, but yeah, so far once again it's going to be slowing down a bit. A slight lead for TIGERBRO, but this time it's going to be Cannon going down without finding a kill.
Yeah, all 3 members of ATM really placed their focus onto that one, starting to be more aware of the threat that Cannon brings to the mix here. And I gotta say, I like the angles that I'm seeing as Someone you know, gets that right-hand side lane down, as Moose gets a nice takedown super through the mid as well. Great damage from ATM, but a push still to come from TIGERBRO.
Yeah, this is a chance for TIGERBRO to come back in this game. We had a comeback potential at the end of the previous game. It was for ATM that time. It wasn't enough, but here this time it's looking like it might be, yeah, 1% difference, and it's gonna go the way of TIGERBRO.
Oh, that ending! Beautiful. I do love to see a final second turnaround there. Yeah, I mean, you got to be really careful of those final second pushes, and I did like the awareness from ATM and Moose coming around to focus his attention onto the Barley to make sure that Noob didn't get any shots over the wall. I think he got a couple regardless. But yeah, a bit of a miss there for me in those final moments from ATM.
Yeah, I agree. I kind of don't even dislike the decision from Moose to go for the aggression towards the end. We'll see that in a bit in the replay. But he just wasn't able to get a shot down, I think. So, yeah, it didn't really pay off. Maybe a bit of a missed timing. Maybe you should have focused on defense. That's what Heist is about, right? It's about taking the decisions at the right time. Should you defend? Should you attack? And look at this. In the end, I would say that Surge matchup wasn't all that bad. Amber finding quite a bit of value. I feel like those are the two brawlers that we're finding the most skills and the most value overall for the both teams, at least regarding the individual fights.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, obviously the stats speak for themselves, but I was surprised that the Surge pick occurred, let alone twice, as well as the Amber. Really, for me, I think not too much what I was expecting. There's definitely still some options available here, like 8-bit and Ruff's having received a recent nerf, but I still think relatively viable here. Again, if you just join the stream, the bans of Poco and Stu, so there's still a variety in the meta, but no longer in Heist. Moving on to Split, then the game mode, of course, being Hot Zone. So, I think Surge here would be a brawler, which I would expect to see. So, possibly a good thing if you're on the TIGERBRO side of things. They're obviously warmed up to it already.
Yeah, for sure. I think this is the map where the bans really start to make a bit more sense, where Poco can be played, to play either Poco with a tank in defense or Poco with a tank in offense. We kind of see both. And also, obviously, Stu is just really solid overall, his ability to just dash into your face. So this is the moment where I feel like the bans make sense. This is the map where they also make the most sense overall. I think we could maybe expect some Rico or some Gil for the defensive side. I'm really curious to see how the attacking side is going to be, because I feel like BB had a really good place in offense previously, but now, with a bit of a nerf to her batting stance, maybe maybe she's a bit out of the meta for Split. I'm not entirely sure.
I think Rico for the side is always a good shout. I think Barley could be actually the preferred thrower here, as Sprout did receive a nerf. Definitely a few options. We're going to see actually just that. Rico, Barley, Surge. Pretty much spot on as to what I was thinking, except for the Rose, where I think that Moose is going to have to be very cautious in his approach to just push up. And there's the healing tonic, which will help in that advance, and laying down some bushes already as well. I like to see some variety in the star power picks there. I think always a good sign to do so. We've seen so much of unfriendly bushes. I think Grow Light here is a wise choice, actually.
Yeah, it's I actually don't even dislike that Rosa pick. I feel like especially with no destruction whatsoever on TIGERBRO, those bushes are going to be in the zone forever. That means constant healing, constant denial of control as well. Look how many shots they're wasting there on TIGERBRO trying to find Moose. He's still unscouted so far. It does get tagged now. He's going to be going down. But even, if you combine the healing from the bushes as well as the healing from Barley, it can be pretty tough to get him out of position. So far, ATM was a really solid start.
I gotta say, again, I really like the bush placements there we're seeing from Moose. I think TIGERBRO did very well to shut it down as early as they did to gain control back and, really heighten their awareness of exactly where Moose was lying there. Super important to get him off the zone as early as they did. But I do think this is the better Rosa gadget here. And again, especially as we've seen literally very little deviation away from unfriendly bushes, I do like the strategy that ATM placing in here. Putting some thought into their comp and their strategy goes a long way in Brawl competitive.
Yeah, and you were very right about that Barley pick. I feel like it's finding so much value because it can literally shoot like pretty much from one zone to the other. The extra range is really coming in play here. Who is low HP though? It is getting quite close as ATM did have a nice early lead. Seko is gonna fall to YK, and this could be the chance for a comeback here for TIGERBRO as they're tying things up. They're not able to take the lead quite yet as Who falls down. Cannon goes down as well. It might actually be ATM to close on the game.
Yes, I got a few missed shots there, and I was a little bit worried as to whether the tides might change here, but someone coming in, I love saying that, someone coming in with some shots on the right-hand side. This is so casual in terms of a casting approach. I love it. Yeah, again, I like to see the sort of things that I'm seeing today. It's a really, really good approach to the meta. Some changes. It's got to be said that it's never an easy thing for players to come in to a competitive scenario like this with the teams as on their game as they are. Very little time to adapt, but already seeing some really good signs of promise and awareness of those things in the mainland China region. I love it.
Yeah, I think it's improving month by month. The disparity between regions is just getting smaller and smaller, and it's not even really, removing any of the originality from the regions. We still have some wild picks in some regions and some pretty region-specific metas, but it's getting a bit more global overall. You can see, I mean, on the Rico side of things, more kills and much more damage from Cannon, which makes sense because he was facing the Rosa, right?
Yeah, pretty much double everything on the TIGERBRO side of things. I gotta say, I did feel like they were playing a pretty good Rico, but I'm kind of curious. I'm kind of curious whether we might see some counters to Rico. It's such a prominent brawler in Split. I often feel like if you can just kind of get that brawler out of the mix, it can really make a huge difference to the outcome. I mean, it could be an ideal brawler to counter it, but I just don't think that he's going to be a very good brawler in this kind of matchup scenario, especially with brawlers like Rosa being so dominant, especially if that strategy comes back around again in the next match to come. Maybe not the ideal brawler, but I do feel it is a very, very prominent brawler in this particular kind of approach.
Yeah, I agree. I think something we used to see a bit, now it might be a bit different with the balance changes. But what I really like to see as well to counter Rico is to bring in a Sprout, even for the lane, because you can get that 3-tap, just that 3-tap potential on the Rico, being able to kind of play around those angles and those ricochets from Rico. It is a bit of a risky pick. It's not going to be coming in here. I believe we have the exact same comps on both sides. And interestingly enough, Ru, once again, is kind of focusing on that right side. YK is helping out in defense to take down that Rosa, and I really like that approach because Rosa just has so much health. It's a problem to deal with. And it is going to result in a trade, which as a Surge is never ideal because you don't want to be losing that levels. But with the right star power, you're going to be keeping them. So no problem here for YK.
Love to see Robo retreats as well. We saw it in the North America and LATAM North region. On this actual map and game mode, so I think it's a really, really solid choice. It allows Cannon to just really dash away from danger and sometimes go on the aggressive. Didn't quite work out there for him as Seko did stay in the lane there, and that's going to be an advantage to ATM. But a lot of brawlers like Rico and Rosa can be evaded with that Robo Retreat star power. So I do like that from TIGERBRO side of things.
Yeah, I agree as well. I feel like it's a star power that hasn't quite gotten as much love as the damage boost, just because the damage boost is just a bit better overall, I guess. But Robo Retreat is still just a really solid star power overall. YK going aggressively there against Seko does fall in the end. It is still ATM with the lead. It's looking more and more like we might be going to a decider set here, Art.
Yeah, I gotta say though, maybe some sign of nerves or some inexperience on that right-hand side there in that matchup. Seko just kind of like missing a lot of shots there, as well as the Surge as well struggling to connect. But at the moment, ATM looking to bring this one back and tie up sets here. So it looks like we're going to be going the whole hog with these two teams.
Yeah, and as you said, I mean, for a first appearance, it is absolutely normal to have some nerves, right? It is the biggest stage for Brawl Stars, and where there's the most at stake. So it's completely natural, and I think that the teams are doing pretty well, all things considered. And winning some games, winning some sets here is definitely going to be a really nice confidence boost for ATM. Yeah, we're tying things up. We're going to be moving on to set 3, a bit of a highlight here. Overall, I just feel like ATM played this one really well. I really like that Rosa pick. I feel like it was a really nice way to just, make TIGERBRO actually really struggle on that left side.
Yeah, and again, look at just the positioning of those bushes. I think really methodically placed, really smart, because you really want to leave a lot of questions in your opposition's mind as to where you could be lurking, but also give yourself the space that you need to maneuver there. And I think more often than not, Moose did a really good job against some unfavorable brawlers. Barley, Rico, definitely nothing that's it's very challenging to avoid a lot of those shots, and more often than not, their mechanics are designed to seek out a brawler in bush. So they see close stats actually between both Seko and Hu. There are only like one difference in terms of the damage, but the team damage very much in favor of Seko.
Yeah, I think that's just the ability of Barley and just throwers overall to go help both lanes, both zones here in this case. That just makes it very versatile, because even after you're done winning your matchup, you can just move on to the next one and then to the next one. So just this ability from throwers on split to find a lot of value on every single lane, it's really important.
Yeah, but interesting though that we haven't seen any Sprout in split, and that was like you mentioned, a great deterrent of Rico, and a really strong brawler meta wise. Another great map for Sprout, of course, is Minecart Madness and Gem Grab. I kind of wonder whether after that Sprout nerf, are we going to see him come back? Is this the death of Sprout? Is Sprout gang finally defeated as Barley reigns victorious?
That's very much possible, Ark. I do feel like both brawlers, they're both throwers, obviously, but they still have some slightly different roles. They can achieve some very different stuff. They have very different mechanics as well, right? You can compare their shots like whatsoever, and their supers have very different utility as well. So I think Sprout is still in the mix. It's definitely not kind of a go-to brawler on a lot of maps as it used to be. I do believe that on Minecart Madness, it's still a very strong brawler. We'll have to see what they decide to play. They have some great options available. Obviously, Byron and 8-Bit have been really good here for the middle area, and they're not going to be played whatsoever. We do have a Sprout on Hudo, and some very different comps here. A lot of different brawlers in the mix, Ark.
Yeah, very interesting to me. Just to remind ourselves, Sprout did receive a nerf to both main attack damage and also to the Guardian Ultra gadget, so less healing on that side of things if Nu is running, which I imagine he would do, as it was a pretty strong one in terms of the meta. But no simple star power, I can see from his position in the bush, not producing a shield, so that's interesting to notice. Someone goes in with some nice attacks, some consistent results there on ATM side of things. The gems continue to be collected from the mid, but yeah, definitely surprised to see Pam and Jean on both sides here, Teddie.
Yeah, this is not something really expected. It's something that used to be played back in the days to have that kind of double healer aspect. But yeah, it's really not that common anymore. Someone is going ham though on that top right side. Does go down eventually, but it was such a distraction. We have 7 gems now on ATM, only 2 on TIGERBRO. But TIGERBRO do have control. They're gonna pick up a couple of extra gems, or are they? They're scared of the pull from Seko.
Yeah, that's exactly that, and I think a great thing that Seko was able to get his supers early on is that, because it does cause a great deterrent. Now missing that, kind of very important in turning this momentum here in favor back in of TIGERBRO, as someone tries to go in and cycle unsuccessfully. So is the pull there, nicely done as well from VX as well. That should give a great amount of mid control in favor of Tiger Blood as they close in on a gem countdown now.
Yeah, I think that mispull from Seko might actually be very hurtful for ATM, as TIGERBRO, they're kind of running away with the gems here. There is the ace gem to not quite tie things up, but at least make the countdown cancelable otherwise than finding the kills. It is going to be 9-9 though, as someone once again is quite a strong distraction, but the countdown does start now for TIGERBRO. Moo's gonna be looking for that next gem. The pull from YK doesn't quite connect. Someone going in, really nice super, a lot of value. Another super to follow up. Someone finding so much value in that fight, but the heals are just too strong and he can't take any players down. Countdown for ATM now, Ark.
Great plays from someone, but I've got to say as well, a very important Jean gadget there just to deter him away and just to get the time that they needs to buy there. But at the same time, ATM are pushing on the mid, getting just VX has a chance to pull here. He's not going for it. I think it's the time to do it. He does connect with a final pull. Moose staying alive, puts down the healing station as well, pops a gadget to stay in the mix here. ATM take home all the gems aside 5 from 7, another pull as well from Seko just to seal the deal.
Oh my, what a back and forth game. I thought that pull might actually seal the deal, but it seems like ATM are the ones to run away. Maybe a bit of a reverse sweep story possible here in this match, as you know, the first set went to TIGERBRO. Now it's match point for ATM.
I love the way that things just can turn around so well, but I've got to say someone here is so well. There's the cycling here. Getting the second one here, but the Gene knockback here did mean that he couldn't advance on that third attempt to cycle, which did give a little bit of a saving grace for TIGERBRO to capitalize. It wasn't the case, but I did like the resourcefulness of that, and then you see someone just going in again as Seko comes in for the helping hand just to see him back, and a great pull as well. We didn't see many Gene pulls early on though, and I'm not sure that's because we haven't really seen Gene played too much with either of these two teams, and they're just kind of new to the feeling under the thumbs, but at the same time, they hit when they matter the most, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as we often say, you know, it's a bit the same as for Tara, for example. Having those pools available, they're some of the most, some of the strongest supers in the game, right? So just having that pool available, your opponents, they know you have it. They're going to be scared about it. They're not going to be over peaking. They're not going to be overextending because they're scared of getting pulled. They're scared of losing their gems, or even just giving the man advantage in that fight and kind of causing their team to lose. So it's always tough to be facing a Gene when you have one on both sides. That's where, you know, it's a bit of a scary matchup. You don't want to be the Gene that's giving away all the gems to your opponents.
Exactly that, and I think Pam is another reason why it works quite well in Harmony, because ultimately, you know, if you can use your healing station to kind of tank that pull and use it as some additional cover in the mid and still be able to carry out the objective, getting those gems obviously is a bit of a hazardous area when Genes are on the cards. And, you know, again, similar to Tara, having that super and not even necessarily using it, just making it aware. You sometimes see players even flashing it, and just to make it really even more obvious that, yeah, this is yellow right now. You know, be careful of your distances. I'm not gonna hesitate to do it. But nice to see Gene coming back in the meta, not as prominent as last year. I think rightly so. I think we saw Gene pretty much as one of the most successful brawlers in terms of the stats and win rates overall all seasons. So I think in a much better place, viable, but not overpowered in that respect.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. I think that's the healthy place for a brawler. We have similar comps with some slight differences here. Who gonna be picking the Amber, someone on the Sandy, rocking that new Sandy skin. He's not gonna be working out early on, as he does get pulled by YK and gets taken out by Cannon. And so far we do have a pretty solid start from ATM, a bit of a gem lead, but TIGERBRO in control of the center.
Okay, nice start for both sides. Actually, only 2 gems in it, and it's still early days. I think that the Amber pick is smart. Great early on pause. It's counted as well on the other side of things. Seko bringing in some value as well, but at the moment it's someone on this right-hand side lane just kind of using a great display actually of healing wins to stay in the mix, and still continuing on there. Healing again from ATM, and I think that's a really, really solid attribute to their comp this time around. Having Sandy in the mix and Pam and Gene, triple heals all round, and as a result you see TIGERBRO on the back foot.
Yeah, that's gonna be really nice to keep that control in general. The pull from YK here might be really impactful indeed. He finds someone that's gonna be an easy kill for TIGERBRO. It is 6-6 gem-wise. There's a gem sitting down there a bit closer to TIGERBRO. The next one spawns right next to it. So yeah, a bit of a gem lead for TIGERBRO. It's not very significant just yet, but the gems are spawning on their side. The pull on moves, that's absolutely huge, but he's not going down.
My goodness, with the amount of healing that ATM have right now, even in those situations where the Gene is able to bring home a huge gem carrier into the spawn from the opposition, they're just staying in the mix. Now the minecart coming in as well, some favorable RNG, but ultimately that can be controlled with pressure, and that's something that TIGERBRO is struggling with now. As Seko pulls in, Cannon, but Cannon's able to stay in the mix, and no gets the takedown. VK with the pull, potentially a hand, and allows TIGERBRO to pick up the gems.
Yeah, very nice kill. It is 10-10. This game is going far gem-wise. It is match point for ATM, so TIGERBRO definitely fighting for their lives here if they want to be staying in the monthly finals of April. They gotta keep fighting. Kind of takes a lot of damage. That might be enough to get some extra control. That's gonna be another countdown for ATM. They get the 13th gem. I think they need another one here, but with that pull, it's pretty much said and done. ATM with all the gems, they're gonna be falling back, and this is gonna be game, set, and match arc. ATM are going to the semifinals and will be facing Nova China next.
My goodness me, that was surprisingly very, very close, actually. But ultimately, the heels prevailed, as did ATM as a result. And yeah, some really, really interesting brawlers there. I did like the progression. I think it was great to see Gene back in the mix, and you know, triple heal. I think you know, as we saw Stanley being, you know, pretty prominent prior to the most recent update balance changes as well. I think could be one to look out for here. A nice, interesting strategy. You can see just how resourceful it was and how good it was at keeping ATM in the mix there.
Yeah, I really agree. I mean, you can't ever really go too bad with healing. There are more and more counters against those healing comps. I feel like, you know, maybe a Crow could have been a good answer, but it was hard to predict that the ATM would be running that. So I have to say, overall, ATM was a very surprising performance in this match. Honestly, if you looked at that first set, it was looking pretty convincing for TIGERBRO. In Hot Zone on Split, things really turned around, and likewise in Gem Grab, it was a lot of an ATM show. It was so close though, man. Both games of Gem Grabs went down to like 25 gems, maybe even more, and it ended up being closer than ever.
Exactly. There was a really important takedown as well, which did put TIGERBRO back into the mix, and that's a final game that we saw right towards the end. It made the gems tied in that respect. It could have gone either way, and especially a minecart, man, as the minecart gets involved so frequently and can really change the pace of the game and where the flow is going. So, you know, it's honestly, it can change at any moment, but the gems grab says it all. ATM 29 as opposed to 19 from TIGERBRO. Despite TIGERBRO having an average of more kills, actually, ATM is just having slightly under the team damage. But you know, Pam's role is primarily for healing. I think there's nothing wrong with that, and no doubt giving his team a ton of value in return for the deficit in terms of the percentages there. Pretty decent average DPS also.
Yeah, I think it's really impressive. And obviously, you know, as a Pam, you're kind of happy to be tanking for your team, you know. So the damage taken is rather a good sign, because you're going to be healing up the most out of the team. With that being said, Ark, let's get a bit of a look at our bracket, as we already have a semifinal on paper here. That's going to be Nova Esports versus ATM. But first, we have two more quarterfinals to go, Ark.
Yeah, absolutely. That TIG Origin versus Bro up next. Teams that have been in the previous monthly finals making a comeback here. Trick China as well, making an appearance in the fourth and final matchup in the quarterfinal stages. And yeah, but for me, I don't know. I mean, that last game was pretty close. I think Nova's, for me, was a bit more interesting in the sense that Nova had a bit more of a clean sweep of things. So me maybe arguably looking the stronger, but honestly, anything can change. You can never really expect or predict anything at all in a monthly final like this.
Yeah, exactly. On the one side, you know, Nova, they have the advantage of experience. They have the advantage of having been here many times and having been consistently, you know, the better team in mainland China. On the other hand, you know, you can always come with a bit of a surprise. ATM, they're not quite as known. Maybe they have some nice surprises to bring. You always study the best teams. Nova China, I can tell you, they're on the radar for every single team. So they're the team they're all like just, you know, analyzing.
Yeah. Well, Teddie, we're going to come back to you in just a moment. We're going to bring on Falcone into the mix, but we'll see you again soon. But right now, a little word from our sponsors.
Are you tired of not winning? Fed up of dying? Want to make it to the championship finals just this once? Fear not. Byron's Snazzy Snake Oil can help. Carefully crafted by Mr. Byron himself from nature's finest ingredients, including essence of real snake. 50% of the time, it works every time. Byron's Snazzy Snake Oil can cause twitching, excessive hollering, flatulence, and in 50% of cases, death.
Welcome back. It is Brawl Stars Mainland China April monthly finals. Hey, Ark, how you doing?
I'm good. How you doing, Falcone?
I am doing great. I have loved watching yourself and Teddie going through the first couple quarterfinals match, and I cannot wait to get involved with the next one. Coming up, as you can see on screen, it's going to be TIG Origin up against Bro. What's with all the Bro teams in China?
I know, right? They're all about the bro fists, I guess, and like the team spirit in that respect.
I love it. I love it. Some real bros hanging out in mainland China. Man, are we bros, Ark?
Yeah, oh, mate, we are the broest of the bros. I love to see a good, friendly kind of team dynamic across the regions. It brings out a good, healthy competition, and I think some good signs of respect there to be had. Kind of curious to see. We did see both TIG and Origin. TIG Origin and Bro in last month's monthly final. What way do you think this might head based on what we saw last month?
Honestly, Ark, I find it really difficult to call because even between the months, you know, sometimes we see that some of the teams have improved dramatically, whereas other teams haven't quite been working as hard. Obviously, we saw TIG Origin make it to the finals last month. Is that going to happen again? I don't want to call it. I don't want to call it.
Well, we did see actually in the North America and LATAM North region a replay of the grand final, the grudge match. So we have seen it once already in the monthly final. We could be seeing it again. I think we also saw it actually in the EMEA region. So
absolutely,
yeah, we could likely see that.
That's the thing.
Who knows?
The team can come back and get revenge for sure. Last month, for those of you that missed it, Bro did lose out to TIG Origin in the quarterfinals. In fact, at the exact same point in the bracket that we find ourselves in now. And it was a 2-0 set score. So I don't want to call it immediately, but obviously TIG Origin are the favorite coming into this. Stu, Poco, and Sprout banned this time. What do you make of that, Ark?
Yeah, we've seen this pattern recurring, it seems, in the mainland China region of Poco and Stu being the two brawlers which they feel are the strongest in the mix and worthy to get out of it as a result. Sprout, I feel, is interesting. Canal Grande, I guess, is probably the likely map and mode there, which is the main offender. Sticky Fields is okay for Sprout. I mean, there's plenty of bush to really use as a gadget there, but I'm not sure whether he's the strongest. And Hard Rock Mine, maybe not there either. So I'm pretty sure Canal Grande is what they're thinking with that, and hoping to give themselves an advantage going into that mode.
Well, there we go. We're already in the first game. We got Rosa, Byron, and is that Lou?
It is a Lou. It is a Smooth Lou. Rocking it on the right-hand side there. Another bro which had a favorable buff. So interesting to see how he will fare now in terms of the meta. But already TIG Origin pushing up on the mid, a good amount of control, and there's the super from Stu there, just really causing problems for Bro.
No, it's not.
Surely, and the friend zoner coming into play, forcing
now
back
it's going in.
The Rosa. Well, I hope so, but you never know, right? These moments of pressure.
Nah, that's gotta go in. I obviously completely neglected to think about the M's gadget when I first called that it was going in. The Rosa would get knocked back, but I didn't prevent the Rosa from eliminating everyone and getting a very nice goal there. On the other side of things now, though, we have got Bros Rosa actually dying. I honestly thought that Bros Rosa was going to win that fight, but it looks like Plus Geo was able to take that one down, and this is looking very close to just being another goal.
Yeah, I think there's probably a wise moment there of just kind of like baiting out the Tara super to go on the offensive. I think it was going to be a difficult one to score with that in play, but they've got to hand it there. I mean, for the Rose to stay in the mix, Plus going for a shot of a little cheeky trick shot to finish it off. Lovely to see it from Plus there.
Ooh, that was a little bit cheeky, Ark. That was a little bit cheeky, but you'll have to see it. And I kind of want to take back my uncertainty now about who's going to win this one. Based on how well TIG Origin had this one under control, it does seem as though the scales have not necessarily shifted too much since last month. However, I am basing all of that off of a single game. For all we know, Bro, we're just getting warmed up.
Yeah, I mean, last year we did see this rivalry between TIG and Nova Esports as the two big contenders for the region. So I'm not surprised necessarily to see a good, healthy start, but still a very, very premature stage. I've got to say, the team damage from TIG, very impressive there. 47% from Plus. Again, running a brawler like Rosa is going to encourage that kind of result. But nonetheless, the average DPS way above normal there on 412.
Yeah, I mean, almost dealing half of the team damage. That's pretty... I mean, we saw Rosa popping off in that game, let's be real. Plus's Rosa seemed to be in all places at all times. And I honestly, there was this one-on-one fight between themselves and the opposing Rosa. And I thought the other Rosa was going to win. They popped the super at the better time and things were looking good. And somehow Plus still came out on top. So a very nice Rosa game from Plus.
Yeah, good early signs of aggression and controlled aggression, though, to stay in the mix. I think that's really worthy to note because the best players are those which can go on the aggressive, but also really calculate when is the time to not go on the aggressive. And that's what I'm seeing already, actually, from TIG. It's, again, just the first round. But, no, I think it does go for something. And the Stu pick, it was playing out really, really well for TI Origin.
Yeah, I mean, Lou did have a significant buff. Like, let's not skirt around it. That 50% increase the amount of time that a brawler is frozen, you know, 50%, that's a high percentage. That's significant. And also, obviously, the damage boost helps as well. It did look a little bit bad for TIG at the start of this game, but they have managed to wrestle back control, and now they're pushing forwards nicely. Getting that damage on Bro's Byron there, ticking away, was huge from Jason. And it really does feel like TIG Origin, well, they're just going to go score. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, getting early goal, definitely another good sign of pressure being applied by TI Origin. I do feel like as well, like Byron still staying pretty relevant in terms of the meta's a good shout as well to keep Plus in the mix and go on the offensive.
It turned around so fast, Ark. It was looking like Bro were getting close to scoring, and then out of nowhere, TIG Origin just complete control. It's looking a little bit like the start of the last game. Never mind, no, it's not. Shui able to take care of the enemy brawlers nicely. And now all they have to do is play defensive.
Yeah, a bit of a miss super there as well from TIG Orange's side of things. They were trying to stay in the mix and Plus end up passing the ball as a result. I look at Lou just getting the absolute value that Lou deserves. You love to see it, honestly. You do.
We can post third one?
I think he might be pretty close to it. Probably one shot away.
There it is.
Nice ice box just to be on the safe side of caution. Pass through as well. My goodness me, Jason finding the angle to Plus. That's one I want to see in the replay because I think that was a pretty challenging pass to make some good communication, no doubt, as a result of that. Yeah, wow.
Like you said earlier, TIG Origin are the other sort of most well-known team in China. Nova's rivals, if you will, and we're getting a pretty good indication as to why. As even in the quarterfinals of the monthly finals, TIG Origin are effortlessly sweeping through the competition. Bro, still have another set. We're moving on to Canal Grande in a moment. But I don't know if they're going to be able to, considering what we've seen in this set, I've got to say, I'm not confident that Bro can do it.
Yeah, it's definitely difficult to be, behind in that respect, to be having to get through the mind games. Did Plus score every goal in that last match? I'm looking at the replay. I'm pretty sure that it was the score of every single goal for TIG Origin there. But, I got to say, I do like a lot of the brawler choices, as we saw so much value there from Shu there, just, playing the Lou. And there's the pass there that just finalized things. The kills in favor of TIG, the goals scored in favor of TIG. Deaths more so as well on the Bro side of things is never a good thing to see.
I gotta tell you, Ark, like just as a personal thing, since Gene's big nerf back when it reduced his supercharge rate so that you had to hit more than 3 times, ever since that nerf happened, Lou has become my favorite brawler in the game. It was Gene, I gotta admit. Now it's Lou. I just find Lou's mechanic so much fun to play with, and especially that super. And we saw in that game just how effective the super can be when used correctly. As we move on to Canal Grande, I'm really curious as to what this new Canal Grande meta is gonna look like. Like the recent balance changes, they seem to have changed certain things significantly, while leaving other things relatively unchanged, like Byron.
Yeah, I think that I think Barley could be a potential in the cards here. I think BB's batting stance, we haven't seen any of BB yet today, might have affected her a little bit, but Poker Double Tank could be coming back into Canal Grande now as a result of the buff to Poco and brawlers like Frank, and Jackie as well had a favorable buff in that, and Jackie was very meta back in the day on Canal Grande, so I wouldn't be at all surprised if we start to see some resonance of that coming back a little bit. But yeah, going back to what you said about Lou, I just can't remember the last time I didn't see Lou in Siege. Siege is obviously a great mode for Lou, so very refreshing to see him coming out of the woodwork into Brawl.
Well, it does make sense when you think about it. A game mode where really all of the action is focused around the ball. He can throw his super at the ball and just make it very difficult for the other team to do anything. You're right about the Barley Crew. We got Barley, Byron, and Rosa up against Mortis, Byron, and Jackie. It looks like Bro's composition is more what I'm used to in Canal Grande, but you know, Rosa and Barley certainly looking strong here.
Yeah, I mean, the good sign is that, I mean, tonight, obviously playing Mortis is a big highlight, but Jason is running Sticky Syrup, and I always look out for that Barley gadget because it does make a big difference when you see a direct counter as to how they might be able to cope. So tonight has some work to do. He's brought out one of those gadgets now. He's going to have to bring out some more before he can really get the value he needs. There's a nice amount of teamwork, gets the takedown of Soul there for the Jackie pick. And again, predictions on point, I feel, today so far. I think watch out for Jackie. She's had some decent improvements since balance changes.
I find it really interesting, because a very slight side note, how the players switch around which brawlers they're playing as. Shui is now showing his dominance as Rosa, whereas before it was Plus that was playing Rosa. I wonder what causes them to shift around like that.
It's a really healthy thing, I feel, actually, and you know, we often do see, as Plus trying to win this thing does do so, we do see a lot of the time a particular player will take the reins and be like, you know, the designated sprout or aggressor of the team, but I think it's a really good thing to keep things fresh, and you know, TIG Origin showing sign of confidence in that respect. I think at this stage of the competition is a really promising sign.
Well, it's certainly working out for TIG Origin. 12 stars to 1, where the only one that Bro have grabbed is the blue star. Mortis is holding on to that for dear life. Oh, not anymore. Oh boy, this has been a good game for TIG Origin.
Very much so. Some very good decision making there, and just the stars reflect it. I've got to say, I think that Jackie might be running the wrong star power, as it was Counter Crush that received the buff. I didn't see any visual reflection of that. It must be mentioned there are a few visual changes in the mainland China version of the game, but only purely on the visual side of things. I don't think it was that, however. I think that maybe you know, going in with Hard Hat was the strategy, either a strategy or a mistake, one of the two. But regardless of that, I think they're going to have to rethink. The stars really were flying in favor of TIG Origin that game.
So Counter Crush's range got increased. I wonder how effective that would have been against, because it would have only really affected the enemy Rosa, right? Like it wouldn't really have been that impactful against the Byron or the Barley.
If you're behind the bush, if a Barley's getting damaged, you're able to flick through the ball and that side of things. So it could be pretty good to go on the offensive and get a decent push. But either way, you know, I feel like it's possible now since the balance changes to be implemented, but it just wasn't working out for Bro's side of things. They're gonna really need to think through that. Maybe go for some more ranged options. I think that Byron was causing them an issue. They're going to either have to juke more of those shots or look to directly counter that. But some really important decisions to be made for Bro because they are now facing match point.
Yes, match point it is indeed. Bro have got their work cut out for them. Again, it's no small achievement qualifying for the monthly finals in the first place. They should still be proud of themselves for reaching the quarterfinals regardless, but this is their moment, their final chance to try to make the ultimate comeback against TIG Origin. This really feels like David versus the Goliath. And honestly, good luck to Bro because it's going to be tough. It's another indication of just how wide the skill gap in Brawl Stars is and what makes it such a great esport. Work, coordination, and practice really can set you apart from the other teams.
Yeah, I think that's 100% correct. The teams that really are at that top level are those that are spending, 10 hours a day, or sometimes even more, just kind of like going through the motions, having really good organized scrims, and playing frequently against really strong oppositions is the best way to learn, in my opinion. And the better that you can organize those scrims with teams that are really putting you through your paces, I feel it's going to give you a much better chance to explore the method, try out things, see what works and what doesn't, to go into these monthly finals with the best possible chance.
Or potentially the final game of the match coming up. The game is loading up. We are getting ready to go. Bro, this is your final chance. Let's see it. It's going to be a Colt and a Daryl this time from Bro, along with the Mortis.
Yeah, I mean, interesting. I can see Daryl could do some work, maybe against something like Gene to close the gap here, but I don't know. I've got to say, I do like the TIG Origin approach here. It's a very different brawler compositions we saw in the previous matchup. So, I think that those sort of ideas are really good at switching things up, keeping your position kind of on their toes and in the dark is never a bad thing. As Jason splashing super again is going to be able to get surely a takedown here. Very swift takedown of Fan. He didn't stay standing for very long at all, and the cracks already beginning to show for Bro.
Yeah, especially as Plus missed the pull with the Gene there, and still they were able to punish Fan. I'm very interested by the fact that both teams have almost entirely changed their lineup, but still, it's definitely been working out for TIG Origin so far. We can see the buffs now coming in thick and fast for TIG Origin, as that is 2 supers have been used by Ruffs, which just means that TIG Origin's position is getting stronger and stronger. Daryl rolls in. It's just going to get eliminated immediately. I don't think the Bro are going to get any eliminations this game arc.
This is just target practice right now for TIG Origin. I think a bit of a mistake going for both Daryl and Mortis. I think they could have just gone for the 1 and had 2 range as a bit of just a safety net.
What is Soulkiller doing?
Well, he's the only person that can get any kind of shots. I think even he knows that the chances of that are slim at best, but there are stars.
All right. I take it back.
Yeah, starting to flow. Fan is in a bit of a perilous spot as well, so he needs to be very cautious here. We might see a bit of a change happening. That would have been the time to go on the defense if I'm Bro.
Well, final push. Mortis goes down though. Soulkiller, I think it's all up to you. Can you eliminate all 3 brawlers? No, I don't think you can. And that is going to be game, set, and match to TIG Origin, who progressed through to the semi-finals. When I asked what Soulkiller was doing, it looked like Soulkiller was attacking the other set of bushes, but his teammates were fighting all 3 brawlers on the other side. So I wasn't sure what Soulkiller was trying to attack over there.
Gotcha. It's like some uncertainty there, and kind of maybe some signs then of lack of communication between his teammates. So often you want to always be kind of communicating where the last time you saw someone was. So could be an indication of that. Some potential cracks, inexperience, and just a few maybe just a bad day. Maybe just like, the team were just a little bit off today. But one thing for me, for sure, is that TIG Origin were being very confident in their approach.
Absolutely one to watch. That disgusting shot at the end there. It was the quickest way to get the ball into the goal, to be fair. Then we see some Shui dominance there with those loot supers. And then Rosa getting the ball passed nicely. He's going to just kick it in. Then obviously there was Bounty, where the first Bounty match, not a single elimination from Bro's side. Not what they wanted to see at all. Bro picked it up a little bit in the final game of Bounty, but it wasn't going to be enough in the end. And TIG Origin very comfortably took this one down.
Yeah, really nicely done. Again, just some really good brawler compositions. More often than not, the battle was pretty much won before it started as a result of those just direct counters, hard counters. The stars, for me, I mean, there's a definite difference there. There's a digit missing, Falcone. It's a big fat 0 in favor on the 2 of TIG Origin. They're 20 stars to only 2 of Bro.
Yeah, and I think that does tell a story, as we see Shui. There we go. There's Shui with my favorite Lu. 33% damage, 266 average DPS. But there you go. Lots of eliminations and very few deaths on average. So, yeah, I mean, we don't see the full picture just from the stats alone. But you could see, based on the gameplay, based on those supers covering where the ball was, it was very nice play.
Yeah, just really good communication to get those pinches on point and just continue to apply pressure. I think some really, really good signs. TIG definitely looking very, very strong today. Are they going to be as strong, however, as Trick of China or CLS? That is the question now, as one of these two teams will go off to face them, providing they can get through this next stage of the competition.
Absolutely. Trick of China obviously made it quite far last month, getting through to the semifinals, where they did then lose against TIG Origin, but it was closer than TIG Origin's game against Bro last month. They were able to take one set. So Trick of China, again, this is a rematch. This is a rematch from last month. It is exactly the same as TIG Origin versus Bro. They were the fourth quarterfinal match. It was Trick of China versus CLS. It feels like a flashback. I'm getting a serious sense of deja vu here. Either way, Trick of China are able to take it down with a 2-0. Let's see if history repeats itself again, or maybe this time maybe things flip over the other way.
And this is where great stories can develop, because ultimately, CLS took the defeat last time round, but they want to come back and say, hey, that was a one-off, like, we really gonna give you a run for your money this time around and demonstrate that we had a bad day. During Beatles is gonna be the map to do so. Hot Zone is the game mode. Can they assert their authority back and show Trick of China what they've got this time around? Well,
we're gonna find out in just a few moments. Here are the bands. Amber, Stu, and Max this time. No Poco banned. I am a little surprised to see Amber and Max banned, given that we've barely seen those brawlers over the course of today so far. I know there's been a little bit of Amber and a little bit of Max, but really not that much.
Yeah, I would say I would agree. I think that for the most part, when we did see them, it kind of went in favor of those compositions. I think the Max, definitely from recollection, had a big outcome in terms of being able to evade a lot of the shots from a slow brawl like 8-bit, for example. Looking, I just missed the maps that were coming up after that, but during Beatles, definitely looking to be a long-ranged affair. B is a good, solid shout here. Colt, great from opening up the map a lot, but interesting that both teams were thinking similar things. I wonder, however, whether the barley for Trick of China might suffer in the later stages once the map has been entirely just broken out and left things to a more open affair.
Well, a very nice start from CLS, eliminating all members of the other team. Good Night is getting a little bit weak on the B. No, able to get the regeneration in. Now it's just a question of whether CLS can hold the mids. And actually, with a very nice gadget from Coco, the enemy B does go down, and they seem to be in complete control. Almost 40% already. CLS are looking good.
Trick of China needs to start to gain some momentum here. Nice healing tonic down to start to get more placement here of brawlers into the hot zone, and now starting to capture as a result. If Goodnight can keep hold of his super nice amplified shot to hand as well, will be a good turn, and down goes Coco there because of that continuation shot still connecting as 8-bit without a damage booster, and any plugged in star power is a very, very chunky boy walking slowly and sluggishly around the map. Follow-up shots as well. This is a really good sign for me from Trick of China with no teamwork. They're going to take the lead, Falcone.
Look how things have reversed arc, and now Barley is so good at playing keep away. Just look at how he blocked the Colt off on the left side, whereas Imp and Goodnight are doing a great job of clearing away the brawlers on the right. McCree takes so much damage and goes down 10%. I don't think CLS can take this back out, but he looked so good at first, but it's just not enough.
I mean, fantastic. Really, really fantastic. At a very important time to do so, getting in an early lead. Shows great signs of promise to keep a cool head under pressure. They were down by 50% at least during that comeback phase, and there was the start of it from White placing down that healing tonic and just getting all players to get their chokes on point. The quick, swift double takedown there, I think, is a big thing to notice as well. When two brawlers are down, then that wall is still in play. It really provides a really good choke point on both the left and right hand sides, and that's why you saw the B and the Colt there just getting maximum value, and White able to really as well get some value before having to retreat without any walls to hide behind. The DPS of that B versus B matchup, though, Falcone, double on the Trick of China side of things.
Yeah. I mean, again, it tells a story. I really thought CLS were doing a great job at the start of that game. They locked it down early, but they just weren't able to keep hold of it. It did look a little bit like Trick of China were going to struggle to get that original grip in the game, but once they did, they would not let go for anything. I wonder if that's what we're going to see continue. Maybe CLS are going to have to switch things up composition-wise. Maybe, I don't know, what can they do differently? They were able to get the center. Can they find a comp that can hold it better, but still get it as effectively? I don't know.
I think for me, the 8-bit is a mistake, especially when there's a B on the other side of things. It was, obviously, very much an unknown idea going into that matchup, whether that was going to be the case. But I think that's why now I'm kind of raising a few question marks, because I think that's a bit of a risk call to go in again with something which didn't work. And 8-bit is going to be a really strong, B, sorry, is going to be a really, really strong counter. You see that already. Trigger China not wasting any time with the mark. Breaking the mid, I think is actually not a bad idea, because that was causing a bit of a choke on the left and right hand side, so it will give the mid more of an option. Damage boost straight into the mid though, and taking down just quickly. Some signs that I'm kind of questioning from CLS here.
Yeah, I mean, this is not looking like a repeat of the last game arc. This is looking far worse than the last game for CLS. Yeah. They haven't been able to even get that initial grab of the hot zone, and now Trick of China, 65% to 0, and not showing any signs of slowing down. The healing gadget from the Barley doing so much work there to prevent CLS from turning the tide.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing about 8-bit is that turret is such a valuable asset to his arsenal, and having additional speed is going to evade those B shots. But every time it's gone down, it's been taken down as quickly, and 0% captured from the opposition there from CLS. I mean, that's disastrous. In the first round, we're going to the second as quickly as we started.
Yeah, I mean, it is showing the beginnings of a repeat of last month, unfortunately, arc. Again, a little reminder, Trick of China were able to take a 2-0 victory against CLS in the same part of the bracket. It really is starting to look like history is repeating itself, just like the previous match that we watched with TIG Origin. We really need to, teams like CLS that are good enough to qualify for the monthly finals, I really want to see them over the next month just put that extra work in to try and bridge that gap a little bit between themselves and Trick of China. Same with Bro from the last match. We just want to see them put a little bit of extra practice in to get to that point where they can put up more of a fight, because at the moment things just aren't looking, it just doesn't look like CLS are good enough to compete with a team like Trick of China.
Yeah, I think it's just some simple things to take note of really there for me. I mean, when you've got a damage boost to hand, if you are playing it, but you really need to get maximum value from it for your team. That was the idea, I think, looking back at the replay, passing it over to the B. But, I think that you kind of all need to use that to your advantage, or at least going with, something that's going to have more range. I mean, even in that respect, Piper would be a solid shout. But again, you don't know what the comp's going to be before you go in. So I think that would be a risky pick for sure. But that was the issue there. Maybe like a Pan would have been a decent shout. The idea was to break open the map and just have something to hide behind, but also heal behind. But none of that going into Hot Potato, as Pam has been out the meta for a long while. Highest, of course, the game mode. The problems that, for me at least, kind of spring to mind is that we saw a lot of Sprout being played, and I kind of wonder, we did see some banning of Sprout in previous matches. Today we saw a little bit of play, but Barley definitely is by far the more picked brawler, and we did see also Barley in the meta and Hot Potato in the past. Kind of curious what brawlers we'll see on this time around.
Yeah, I'm curious as well. I mean, Sprout has received a well-needed nerf. I think that's fair to say. Sprout has been a very dominant brawler for a very long time. Nerfing the healing gadget and also nerfing the damage by a little bit is going to bring Sprout a little bit more in balance with the other brawlers. But it really has given Barley this opportunity to shine. Barley's range has been increased. Barley is looking very, very good. Potentially the premium thrower in Brawl Stars right now, which is really great to see. I do love the rate at which nerfs and buffs happen in this game, because it does, over time, change up the meta dramatically, and it means that we're watching a different set of games every single month played very differently, and that's exciting. The real question is, how do the teams capitalize on these changes?
Yeah, you got, it's again, like I back to what I said earlier today, it's a very challenging thing going into a monthly final with so little time to kind of like adjust to the meta, but we are already seeing really good signs of it. I think the Rico is a solid pick, and already Trick of China showing that they're going to take the risk. Despite the nerfs, Sprout and already Conceal, I can visually see the difference of Garden Mulch there, taking off less of that bringing back, less of that healing. So already, it's actually going to be Trick of China on an early defense. Robo Retreat coming out for the Rico on the CLS side of things as well. Again, double takedown left on the side. that might change the swing of things here.
Yeah, absolutely. A good night showing now why Sprout is still so strong, able to find a good position to just blast away at the safe safely. And now it's just a question of, can McCray get close enough? It looks like no, it looks like Imp, White, and Goodnight are doing a good job of pushing McCray back. We're back in this center fight. Only there's 10% on one safe and not 10% on the other.
Yeah, and I think that that 10% will definitely not be the story to end this matchup on, as the aggression is definitely there, as a takedown again from Trick of China on that left-hand side as Goodnight closes the gap and gets some, well, at least one consistent shot on Coco, goes for the safe for the follow-up. But now I'm looking towards the Edgar here to jump in, or actually just not even jump in, get forced back as a good sign of a defensive retreat there from Trick of China, and a quick swift takedown actually of McCray there. Very important to stay in the mix on that defense side of things.
I mean, CLS's safe is just getting weaker and weaker, and honestly, the team isn't making any progress towards Trick of China's safe either. Look how weak the Rico is, even with the extra movement speed arc. There's not that much Rico can do to avoid all of this fire, although he survived for longer than I expected there in that moment. McCray trying to sneak around the left-hand side, but Goodnight is really dealing a lot of damage to the Edgar. He's just slaughtering him. It's not fair.
It's unjust. I think for me, the Robo Retreat is coming back. I think it's had like an indirect buff, sorry, in that respect. But Super Bouncy is my preferred star power here. I think that a lot of the time you're seeing that to get the value out of Robo Retreat, you want to stay low on HP ideally. Whereas I think in this particular instance with the aggression of Trick of China, you really need to be able to counter that with aggression here. Great synergy between White and Goodnight, and that is going to be Goodnight for the safe towards the end of that matchup. Trick of China looking very, very strong for me today.
Trick of China looking really strong. We head to match point arc. Once again, in that position, is this just going to be a 2-0 sweep with no game wins on the other side? I think that's likely.
I think, yeah, and rightly so. I mean, just good brawler choices. Not only brawler choices, but also star power and gadget choices, I would say, for the most part here for me. Great synergy a lot of the time between the lanes and the mid, and just that's always a direct sign. Look at that. No damage from the CLS side. And Rico's an ideal brawler with that amount of range to do so. 10,000 from White on that side. That's a promising sign for me, showing a direct comparison between brawlers with such a difference. Does tell quite a strong story. White as well with a ton of damage himself, with 10k as well. Pretty much shared damage across the team there, which is always a good sign. 4 kills, 0 deaths.
10k to the safe is very significant though, and I mean, like we were saying before, Barley, one of the premium throwers now. With that extra range, it's just that little bit easier for Barley to start chipping away at the enemy safe, and we saw the team really take advantage of that. Trick of China unlikely to switch up their lineup too much moving forward. I mean, to be honest, Ark, they don't really need to. They're looking so comfortable.
Yeah, they're looking at home. They're looking at they've done their homework and that they've come prepared, and have spent a decent amount of time just trying things out, testing what feels good to them, what they like about the old meta combined with the new, and those are the signs that I always look for early on, is to see kind of like whether it kind of fits in with what I have in my head. And I obviously always like to be surprised. I never think that I've got it all sussed out. I actually kind of like to be proven wrong a lot of the time, because it kind of carries more weight for me to remember. Oh yeah, like let's remember that time to stop me in my tracks. But I think by far at the moment the strongest of these two teams, but still a chance. CLS can bring this back. But they got to do something quick. They got to make a change. A change is definitely needed to stay in the mix here.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I'm not sure what that change is going to be, though. It feels like the kind of thing that you can't just change overnight or over the course of a couple games. It feels like the level of which Trick of China are dominating CLS, it needs to be, when we say change, it needs to be better teamwork, better cooperation, better strategy, better prep. And I feel like here we're not talking about changes that they need to make for the next game. I think we're talking about changes they need to make for the next month.
Potentially, yeah, potentially. I think definitely some lessons to learn from, and they had an opportunity going into this month to have made those changes. I think again the deja vu creeping in a little bit. It was a 2-0 in favor of Trick China in the last time that we saw these two teams go head to head last month. I think that there's still a few things that I can point out quite quickly. I think just changing the star power, if they are going to play Rico, but they're not going to play Rico mid. So I think that would have been a good start. But they are making a change. I don't know whether it's the right change at this moment, but better late than never. Going with a tanky comp, Gale, to kind of knock back here. I'm not too sure. I mean, it's going to work well as a deterrent of the BB, actually, so they're kind of fortunate in that respect. But I think they did get quite lucky with the fact that both teams went with BB here.
I don't know how both of those BBs ended up being eliminated there. It looked like CLS's BB had such an advantage with that bubble, essentially cornering White, but White was still able to take Kogu down with him. Which again, I think it just shows how proficient the members of Trick China are dealing with all these situations. Coco was alone at the end, well, not alone at the enemy safe, but managed to get close to the enemy safe there, dealt a little bit of damage, but was taken out very quickly by Goodnight and Rico. This game is a little closer, but CLS are just sort of dribbling in one brawler at a time now.
Yeah, and these tanky brawlers are really going to lend themselves well in favor of Trick China, because the amount of value that can be gained off the back of them and just cycling so well as Imp right now as a result of that, that's just going to be fuel to the fire right now. There's a bit of a base race going on, but I still think that Trick China have got it firmly under control. They will take it, and CLS go home packing early on.
There you go. Trick China will be our final semi-finalists for today. CLS, unfortunately, will not be making it through again, but I'm sure we'll see them again next month. I'm really fascinated. Now we've seen Bro and CLS sort of do the same thing 2 months in a row. I'm really interested in seeing the growth and development of those two teams. But for now, all of our attention has to go to Trick of China, who will be facing up against TIG Origin again later on today. Honestly, I'm getting such crazy deja vu from this region.
I mean, there's plenty of time. The season is still relatively young still. I think the points can come back around in the event that things are really close, so you don't really want to take that kind of like relaxed approach by any means. But definitely a lot of things to still improve upon, experiment with, and that's the thing, especially with the mainland China region in particular. I do like to see a lot of the time experimental ideas with the meta, especially if they work out well. Last year was a lot of TIG, and this year kind of like looking to see what they do kind of like settle on. I think that one thing's for sure though, I am seeing a lot more of a more westernized meta, and I think that's going to show a lot of potential for teams to kind of really go out and push the boat out. But yeah, for me, CLS going with a few more questionable decisions in the meta respect than Trick China. Trick China seemed to have it really quite well down for me.
Yeah, honestly, they were just out-picking the other team every single time. Frankly, it was very, very impressive. Even at the end there, when we saw it sort of almost turned into a bit of a base race, nothing really came of it because you had the BB blasting away at one safe, but you had the entire team blasting away at the other.
Yeah, no doubt that was probably the small amount of damage that they were able to achieve there as a reflection of that final push, but too little, too late. There was the 39% team damage from Imps. Just ability to be able to cycle off the back of the BB and the Daryl there, and that's why I always love vouching for Rico in Hot Potato. Excuse me. It's such a great defensive brawler to have, especially in the event that a team do mix things up and run double tank.
Absolutely. Rico really did excel there. Like, you look at Rico and you look at Ruffs and you look at how Ruffs has been sort of the new brawler on the block, the one everyone wants to play. And Ruffs kind of has very similar mechanics to Rico. And I think it's easy to kind of forget about Rico's strengths and be like, oh, I guess we just play Ruffs now. But we're seeing firsthand from the players, actually, these brawlers still have different strengths, different weaknesses, and Rico was really able to shine there.
Yeah, I think the map pool lends itself really nicely to Rico as well. We see him a lot on Split, and you could argue coming back in full force into the meta in that respect, based upon the Brawl Esports side, at least to say, I do like seeing a very, very quick adaptation to balance chain as we are seeing today so far. So, you know, I think that we'll see plenty more of that today to come, and some really, really close matchups. All
right, well, for now, we're going to take a very quick breather while the teams get ready for their semi-final matches. Going to give you a quick breather as well, Ark, and let Teddie hop back on. But in the meantime, let's take a closer look at our North America and LATAM North monthly finals champions. Of course, you've been watching, you know, it's none other than Tribe Gaming. Let's take a moment to learn just a little bit more about them.
This is getting close.
Yeah. Oh, rocket fuel! No one's left to defend this one. This is going to be a huge push.
But the whole time, Tribe Red have been dominating. That is it.
I'm Zulan. I live in Puerto Rico.
Hi, my name is Tyron. I live in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Hi, my name is Corey. I'm the captain of the team. I live in East Coast, Canada. I started this team about a year and a half ago with my old teammate Super Sai. We were a team together for basically forever.
So coming from 2019, I was dropped from Space Station Gaming. Corey and Super Sai needed a third, so they DM'd me and I decided to join them, and we later added Zulan.
Well, at the end of 2019, I was looking for a team and he saw me and he basically just picked me up. Here I am.
My teammate Tyron Star is probably the most mechanical skilled player in North America, almost never loses lane. Zulan is probably one of the most aggressive players I know.
Corey is definitely the smartest player on the team. He also motivates the team to do well. Zulan is definitely the person that hypes you up.
Zulan is the super loud guy that's always screaming in the voice chat.
Tyron is the prankster, sort of the clown of the team.
The night before the qualifier, you know, they'd say like, I broke my iPad, I can't play. And then they would like send me a fake picture of a broken iPad.
In scrims, our comments are usually pretty fun. We just poke fun at each other. We don't really take it that serious, but in tournaments, we pretty much call out every single thing we can. If we mess up, we pick each other up instead of blaming each other.
My most memorable match was the last qualifier of 2020 versus Dudu Dunga. We only had 16-something% on our save, 18%, and they had, you know, their entire save. We hadn't touched it yet, and we just told ourselves, look, we can come back, and you know, we regained control, and then next thing you know, we just held it the entire game, and at the last 10 seconds, we finished off their safe and made the comeback. So.
He fires away. King Zulan's gonna block the shots. Additional damage from Tyron.
Oh my god, they've done it, Woody!
Omen Elite pick up the win in game 2.
That was such a memorable moment. I still watch that almost every week or every month. I try to rewatch it. The voice chat was so hyped.
I just want to prove myself. I want to prove to everyone that I can compete and be the best.
I've always liked winning, always liked competing. But in Brawl especially, I've gotten dropped and I had a lot to prove.
Money.
Great answer.
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't.
I'm still gonna keep proving myself. I'm not gonna lower my intensity. And yeah, I just want to win. I like winning.
Thanks to all our fans for supporting us in the chats, in Twitter, on YouTube. You know, it keeps us going. And we're gonna keep working hard to make you proud. And yeah, we're gonna win it all this year.
Our fans are honestly amazing, and it feels so good to have a fan base behind you, cheering you on every single game. We're just gonna keep playing as hard as we can, and we're not gonna go down without a fight. So hopefully everyone's ready.
We are back. I hope you enjoyed that. A little bit of information about Tribe, but now we are going to get into the meat of the day. It is the semi-finals. Teddie, do you think we've got some good matches ahead?
I definitely do. You know, very often in those quarterfinals, you know, we have some more dominant matches, some more dominant teams, you know, because the teams are a bit more spread out. You know, it's the early stages of the monthly finals, and those teams that have had some really good performances early on, they're going to be facing each other now. They're getting actually a much bigger challenge, and that leads to some much more exciting matches, Falcone.
Absolutely, I agree. I think the excitement is just about to really get started, as we've seen so far today. Aside from one match, the second quarterfinal match today, everything's been a little bit one-sided today. We saw Nova Esports dominate against Jazzy, as we can see here on screen right now. Some very nice performances from them. And then we saw this was the closest match of the day so far. We went all the way to the third set. It was ATM up against TIGERBRO, where eventually ATM were able to take it down. But it was close, and that does make me wonder, Teddie. Is this semi-final between these two teams going to be one-sided? Do you think maybe Nova will have a significant advantage against ATM?
I mean, on paper, it's the most likely to be one-sided of the two semi-finals, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like those... I mean, you have Nova China, man. Nova China is just really, really solid. ATM, they had a run for their money in their quarterfinals. It could just be that they face a really strong team, which I'm sure they did, but it wasn't quite as convincing as a victory as for Nova Esports.
Well, this is the bracket, Teddie, as it stands now. As you can see, Nova Esports, ATM, TIG Origin, and Trick of China are your quarterfinalists, having knocked out Jazzy, TIGERBRO, Bro, and CLS. We're going to kick things off now with semi-final one. Nova Esports up against ATM. Now, Sova Esports are the darling team of mainland China. They are the team that we saw competing in the global finals at the end of last year. They are the team that we've seen dominating China for the most part. They have a pretty good rivalry against TIG Origin, who they may end up competing against later today. But outside of TIG Origin, Nova don't really have all that much competition in China.
Yeah, even against TIG, if I recall, they only lost one game, I believe, in the finals last month. So it wasn't quite a close story either. Nova China, they're definitely the team that everyone looks up to because they are the dominating team for this region. This, once again, does mean that, you know, people do their homework. They are going to be looking at their games. They're going to be looking at their comps. And they're the team to beat. They are the final boss here. Unfortunately, for a couple of teams, that means facing them a bit early on the tournament as well. That's never going to be an easy task. But ATM, I mean, first appearance in the monthly finals. They won their first match. So far, they have some momentum going their way. Who knows? Maybe they can surprise us.
All right, Teddie, well, we move on to best out of 5 for the semi-finals and the finals. We're going to start with some gem grab on Icefort before moving on to Bounty and Shooting Star, and then Parallel Plays Hot Zone. Looking forward to that later on. Potentially some Heist on Kaboom Canyon and Brawl on Super Stadium later on, potentially. But this match has every potential of being a 3-0 sweep for Nova Esports, and that is what ATM are going to be fighting against. Let's take a look at the bans and see what has come in for this match. Ruffs, Stu, and Poco. Okay, yeah, I'm not really surprised about any of this. We've seen Poco banned multiple times today. Clearly a big winner from the recent balance changes. And Ruffs and Stu, I mean, I complained about that enough last week. Like, I want to see new brawlers. We've seen a little bit of Ruffs, so it's not so bad. What do you think of these bans?
I mean, I think they make a whole lot of sense, right? You look at Stu, still arguably the best brawler in the game. Despite getting some nerfs, you know, teams are just kind of afraid to approach him. They aren't really too sure if he's still, you know, really strong or if it's better. They just don't want to take the risk of facing it. They're a bit traumatized of how strong he was before the balance changes as well. Ruff's a bit of a similar scenario over there. Not exactly sure yet where he's going to be in the meta. And that means that, you know, teams, they want to play the safe route. That means banning it. And we have some interesting stuff here. Aspartame on the Lu. Definitely something interesting for Icefort.
Yeah, I mean, this is the second time in the last few matches that we've seen Lu, and I can't say I'm surprised again. To me, Lu's buff is significant, and Lu was already close to being a pretty good brawler. We'd see Lu often in Siege, but not elsewhere. But now with these final little adjustments, just maybe he's strong enough to be played in all of the game modes. Regardless, Nova Esports have got this game completely locked down. ATM struggling to get anywhere near the gem spawn. And they do seem to have one opportunity to make a final push here. And yeah, they've gotten Teddie down on the Crow. Can they make this push and grab the center? Yes, Moose has successfully done that.
I really like the decision there from Nova Esports to just play it safe, take it easy, and not overextend there. I know that U or OU was like hesitating to go for those gems, but I think it's important to give some respect to your opponents when they have a nice retake. And look at this, Nova Esports online. That's gonna be 10. Yeah. This is now the countdown. Patience usually pays off, and it's looking good for Nova, Falcone.
Yeah, I don't see, OU was able to very nicely wall out the other team at that relevant moment, grab those final gems, and now there's just nothing that ATM can do. Nova Esports take the first game of the semifinals.
Yeah, quite a convincing way as well. I feel like we had a bit of a glimmer of hope when ATM managed to take back some middle control. It wasn't quite enough because it was just a matter of a couple of seconds till Nova just managed to take it back. Nova overall pretty dominant across this game. Kind of what we expect from them. ATM though, it's going to be a bit of a stop in their momentum coming back from their previous win.
Well, here we go. Let's take a look at how the two Sprouts faced up against each other. We see OU, with more eliminations, a lot more gems grabbed, obviously, and fewer deaths. No deaths whatsoever. Very nicely played. 220 average DPS, 6 limbs, no deaths, and actually a very high percentage of the team damage as well. Almost half, actually. This Sprout was very strong.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that the 6 kills and both have very high DPS is really due to him. He didn't find 6 kills on the Sprout in the middle. He found a lot of kills on the lanes as well, managing to constantly find pressure and just helping out his teammates. This is why throwers are so strong in the middle on Ice Fort. You can just win your fight, and you don't even need to kill your opponent in the middle. If he's too low HP and he needs to back off, you can immediately start helping out the other lanes and basically turn 1v1s into a 2v1. And then suddenly it's a whole different story, and you can really just, turn the match to your advantage.
Absolutely, you can, and Nova did. But we're going to have to move on and see if ATM are going to switch up their lineup at all. It's difficult because, again, the Sprout on Nova's side did so well. Like, do ATM try and counter Sprout themselves, or do they just continue bringing their own Sprout and see if they can outplay? I feel like you can't just suddenly outplay out of nowhere. But here we go. ATM are going to actually switch things up, and it is going to be an Edgar and a Max and a Rico now. And hey, Edgar already paying off, getting that first elimination.
This is something we don't see very often, but Nova Esports actually had their gem carrier be switched over. It used to be the Sprout. This time it's gonna be Aspartame on the Lu, just because it's a much better matchup against the Max. Max is just really solid, with that movement speed, at dodging those Sprout shots, at getting up close and then making things really dangerous. And this is just something really unexpected that I think is something really important. It does get a bit dangerous, but wow, that was an absolute beam as Nova Esports keeps center control.
Yeah, I mean, Lu's gadget is so incredibly strong when timed correctly, using up enemies' ammo while not taking any damage. And look at that, there's the super is up, blocking ATM's progression. Nova aren't even feeling the need to run back too much. Aspartame can just keep a nice distance from the other team while blasting away. Now get back into that corner as time runs out. And Nova Esports are going to take the first set. That is 1 down, 2 to go. Nova looking solid.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that something quite interesting is it's easy to assume that, they're playing it the unsafe way by not backing off too early. The fact is, the earlier you back off towards your spawn, the less room you have to roam around and try to dodge your opponents and survive. So it's actually a safer way, which is quite counterintuitive when you think about it. but it also kind of makes sense because the more space you have to navigate through the map, the easier it is to survive. And yeah, just Nova Esports with some very creative stuff across the board here. Once again want to point out that change of mid player. You can see who was the one carrying all of the gems. It's gonna be Aspartame in that second game, and it really made the difference in that matchup, man. Look at that freeze.
Yeah,
insane. What a beam that was.
I'm telling you, Teddie. I'm telling you. We're all sleeping on just how big this buff to Lou was. We're all sleeping on it. Like, 50% is significant. 1 second to 1.5. Like, yeah, sure, it's half a second, whatever. That is 50% more effective. Maybe I'm just going on about this too much now, but 50% more effective, Teddie. 50%. That's a big percentage.
How many percent?
It's almost half.
It's a lot. It's actually a whole lot. Obviously, you know, it's the kind of value you only find if you actually manage to get the freeze, and that's kind of the real question, you know what I mean? Because if the problem was that he wasn't getting enough freezes, then I guess it might not be as impactful. But I agree. I think we're really sleeping still on Lou, except you, Falcone. You're the eye opener for Lou here.
Hey, I said to Ark earlier, even before this buff, Lou's my favorite brawler. Like, I'm into it. I'm here for it. Let's move on. We got Shooting Star now, some bounty. Obviously, we're going to see some dramatically different comps to what we saw earlier. Maybe a little bit more long-ranged action coming up here. What brawlers in particular would you like to see, Teddie?
I think that the go-tos for Shooting Star are going to be Nani, Piper, maybe something like a TIG or a Sprout in the mid. Instead, okay, never mind. I don't know anything about competitive anymore. We have...
Actually, we got a Nani on one side. We got a Piper on the other. Byron's and Jeans and Max and Barley. I guess Barley is the TIG in this scenario, right? Like, Barley is just the premium thrower right now.
I do have to say, I have seen Jean and Max played before. Byron is obviously a very good option as well, getting both, you know, some solid snipes and the ability to hit his teammates. Well, talking about snipes, he's gonna find the first kill there, giving a 3-star lead now to ATM. Honestly, a much better position so far than they've been pretty much ever in that first set. Let's see if they can keep it.
I mean, 5-star lead, it's not insignificant. It is going to take a couple eliminations from Nova to catch up with that. But you know, Nova, that is 2 supers ready. Aspartame is gonna proc that. Today misses the pull, but isn't gonna miss the elimination. That is 1 down, but they still need to ideally find an elimination on the Byron, which could be a little bit more difficult to pull off.
Yeah, super from Seko. Gonna get some more space. That's a nice kill from... Yeah, that was
kill over. I didn't even see where that came from.
That was the peep from OU. Yeah, across the map. It was hard to follow, to be honest, because all the action was on the left-hand side.
Yeah, I just glanced over to the right. It's like, oh, Piper's dead. Whoops, okay. 1 star in it, which means an elimination on the Piper would do the job, but they would take Today down. 15 seconds. ATM are ahead by 4 stars. This could be a win for ATM. The final battle takes place now. Aspartame pushing really hard, but Piper is going to get that elimination. And ATM take their first win of the series. Well, Teddie, tables are turning.
I have to say, I feel like the comp overall was just much better. I do like, you know, Max and Jean. It's a really solid combination. You can get that movement speed, you know, combined with that pull, can just make it really hard to dodge, really easy to just auto aim it, get that pull, get that kill, and get the lead. The fact is here, ATM played the distance game very well, making sure they always stay at range. Look at this. They always stay at a very far distance, and it truly paid off here.
Yeah, Byron putting in a lot of work. Didn't get eliminated once. Was able to hoard all of those stars, I think, including the blue one, if I remember rightly, and just stayed hidden in that top left corner, able to keep himself alive, able to keep his teammates alive. It was very nice to see. On the other side of things, we got someone on ATM. Rico? Yeah, okay. Rico playing very well there. 43% damage. Low key, possibly the best brawler on the team.
That is very much possible, though I'm not entirely sure. Was there a Rico in that game? I don't think so. I'm not sure. I don't remember it.
No,
but,
I don't remember it either, actually.
No,
that's weird. Okay.
I
never mind
understand
that.
the confusion. I was just as confused as you.
Maybe it wasn't Rico. Maybe it was a different player. Either way, we're going to jump into the next game. We got Tick, Barley, Sprout. Wow, a full team of throwers this time. Up against Piper, Tick, and Nani. Dramatically different compositions.
Yeah, that's definitely very interesting. Not something you see very often on this map. You know, once in a while, before the balance changes, you would see both Sprout and Tick on the same team. You know, playing the walls well. It can pay off. However, so far it's gonna be the single star lead in favor of Nova Esports. This time they kick things off with the lead. We had ATM with a really solid start in game 1, and Nova Esports, they follow up with another kill.
5 stars to 2 at the moment. The shoe is on the other foot as ATM need to be doing something to bring this game back. Today is going to push. The Sprout almost got punished, but was able to escape with that super. Honestly, Nova Esports are just trying to keep ATM at arm's length here.
Yeah, it's once again some sort of a distance game, but this time it's Nova keeping their distance and keeping ATM at bay as well, which, you know, now that there's a 5-star lead in favor of Nova, ATM at some point they will need to find an opening. With Throwers, you have the advantage that you can, you know, reach through those walls, get some opportunities over there, but it's definitely not going to be an easy task again against those snipes here from Nova. Tickhead will be a bit problematic. It does get defused in time. We have a 7-star lead and a final push for ATM. It's not looking too good though, as they lose Seko. Moose is low HP as well, does manage to wall himself away, and that's going to be Nova Esports tying things up, Dan.
Well, there you go. That's more what I expected from this set. But now things are tied up. ATM are going to have another shot to take this one home. I want to just clear up a little bit of confusion from before, Teddie. From the graphics that we were looking at, it was Rico was someone's most played brawler, not a brawler that someone had played in the last game. That's why we were both like, I don't remember seeing a Rico in the last game. It's because we'd seen Rico in the last set, not in the last game. Just to clear that one up. A little bit of confusion on our end there. But Nova Esports able to dominate that game and things looking a little bit more like what we'd expected. That being said, the Tick on ATM's team was able to perform just that little bit better with 2 eliminations.
Yeah, I think that comp was maybe not the best idea for ATM. I do want to applaud the risk they took, which is something you've got to do, especially when you are behind a set and you are facing the favorites of the entire monthly final. It's just important, right, to be able to take some risks, because otherwise it's going to be really hard to win.
Well, this is exciting, Teddie. We could be having a close match here if ATM are able to take this next one down. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of rooting for them a little bit. It's always fun to cheer on the underdog, and I would call ATM very much the underdog in this situation. The next game is loading up. We're gonna see it any moment now. Which team is going to take it? We have got Piper, Mortis, and Leon for ATM up against Piper, Tick, and Nani. A much more conventional comp for Nova. Mortis, Leon, I did not expect that.
No, me neither. I mean, the clones, as you can see, can be a bit of a distraction. More of just an extra kind of shield to tank some shots, kind of similar to a Nita Bear. It doesn't really deal any damage, so it's harder to find as much value. Therefore, so far, Nova Esports, they have the kill lead. That's going to be a 1-star lead as well. Someone getting caught there as OU takes him down. That's already 4 stars to his name, and he's gonna make it a 5th as he takes Seko down as well.
ATM have got their work cut out for them now. OU sitting on 5 stars, and even just that elimination would not be enough to even the playing field. Peep, going to swerve around the Piper and eventually find the Leon. There you go. Aspartame with the tick. Super. It's not going to find its target, but honestly, it doesn't matter too much. Still 40 seconds on the clock and 10 stars in it now. ATM have got so much work to do.
Yeah, it's a tough situation for ATM. They need some sort of a push, some sort of control. That opening onto today might be what they need to get some better positioning, but they're pretty slow at it, and Moose is low HP as well. Spartan is low too, but that Tickhead is just able to completely defuse that push from ATM. Yet another kill, make it 2, going the way of Nova Esports. I don't really see anything that ATM can do at this point. This set is going to Nova Esports as they widened up that lead. It's 2-0 in sets now, Dan.
Well, there you go. I'm a little bit disappointed, Teddie. I would have loved to see ATM take that one down, because then in theory we could have had a real match on our hands there, but ultimately Nova are going to take it. However, there is still the potential for a reverse sweep. Let's not rule it out just yet.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, we've seen it in our second game of the day. It was ATM actually that won with a reverse sweep. It was a best of 3, so it's a bit easier, if I dare to say that, to get a reverse sweep. But they've done it in the past. They can do it again. This time it is against Nova Esports, the favorites of this monthly final and of the region in general. So it's going to be an extra challenge, but they were challenged in their quarterfinals and they managed to pull through.
Yes, absolutely. We're going to have to see how things go moving forwards. ATM have had a rough day so far, but like you said, a successful day so far at the end of the quarterfinals. We'll have to see if the semifinals for them is a repeat. But the thing is, you got to add the caveat, right? Like, they weren't playing against Nova Esports before, were they? They were playing, they were playing against TIGERBRO. The Nova Esports have a little bit more of a reputation in mainland China than TIGERBRO does.
Yeah, that is something that I will have to agree on. Once again, they are truly getting challenged. It was a bit of a smaller challenge in the quarterfinals. This time, it's pretty much the set of their career here that they're going to be playing, because they need to win this one, they need to win the next one, and the one after if they want to win this match. That's 3 in a row. Definitely not a comfortable position for ATM. Nova should be quite comfortable instead as we move on to parallel plays. Quite an interesting map. A dynamic we see very often is, that 50% threshold going very early on both sides, because you spawn very next to one of the zones. A lot of brawlers here have been nerfed for this map, so I'm really curious to see what they're going to be playing. This is do or die now for ATM. They need this set or it's going to be the end of their journey as we hop into this game.
Well, here we go. Today, you're going to rush straight to the enemy hot zone and start batting Barley out of it. Look at Nova go! They've already managed to claim the, start claiming the enemy hot zone. Well, they just let their teammate, Aspartame, on his own battle against someone for control of their one. Honestly, this is some very impressive play from Nova. Today is just camping in the bush there, charging up the weapon to swing it and bat them back. However, Pam and Barley able to finally make a bit of a comeback there on the hot zone.
Yeah, it's a very small difference, but every single percent you get on enemy territory is a big advantage. And so far, I think it's someone that might have been doing a bit of a better job. Although with the kills on the top side, that might be a different story now, as Nova Esports are very close to closing things out, and they're actually going to do just that.
There you go. Nova Esports were able to take it away. Very nice play from someone on the sandy there. It's got to be said, on the bottom of the map. I It was hard to focus on that with so much action going off on the hot zone that was on ATM side with just how well Nova were playing that. But honestly, Sandy stayed alive for the entire game at the bottom, was able to beat Aspartame in the one-on-one fight and just stay alive. And also, Teddie, I've got to add this. That is a beautiful new Sandy skin. It is beautiful.
Oh yeah, absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And here you can see that was the matchup on the bottom side, if I recall correctly, with someone pushing up in offense and OU defending. Very close overall, although in the end, OU being a bit more convincing in general.
Actually, I think it was Aspartame that was fighting in the one-on-one against someone in that hot zone. I believe OU was part of the push.
Oh yeah, was BB. Yeah, was
yes,
the BB.
Yes,
My bad.
But yes, either way, just an insanely close game. Big shout out to someone for a great performance, even though it was on the losing team. However, Teddie, it is match point.
Yeah, I said it was do or die in the previous game. It is for the set, which means that right now it is for this specific game.
Now if it doesn't go
if it doesn't go the way of ATM, they are going home with very commendable third/fourth place. But they're definitely aiming for more coming into those monthly finals. Any team at this level is gonna be ambitious. They also, I'm sure, have their head high and know that this is a difficult matchup where they are not likely to come out on top. But we'll see how that's going to be working out, as today has a bubble available. Might be looking for a juicy bubble. He might actually find a double tap on the barley, but he's not able to get that quite yet. It's going to go for the bubble now. Doesn't really find a whole lot of value. And it is Nova Esports with the 3% lead, but it's not all that significant, Dan.
It's not that significant at all. The battle for the enemy zone starts now, and Aspartame is actually going to fall to a Moose and someone who are really pushing this bottom zone quickly today. Very weak fighting against the Barley at the top side of the map. However, OU and Aspartame are able to come in with that defense, and now the tide might be shifting back in favor of Nova. Today, able to get an elimination, somehow restored that health. I'm sure a nice little gadget pop helped him out with that. And now ATM finding themselves on the back foot. They need to do something about today and Aspartame.
Yeah, they're just not really able to deal with today on that baby. He's been absolutely killing it. And when I say it, I mean ATM. And that means that Nova Esports, they're only 5% away from the grand finals. And that's gonna be it. Nova Esports are your first finalists of the day. And ATM, I mean, they really tried, but it was a bit too challenging of an opponent for them to handle in those semifinals.
I mean, I don't know what to say, Teddie. Nova Esports are the darling team of mainland China. I said this earlier. I guess I do know what to say. I said it earlier. I say it again now. They are the best team that mainland China have to offer right now. And I'm sure that we're going to continue to see them dominate moving forward. However, I'm sure the finals will be a little bit interesting later. For now, though, another interesting match coming up in the second semi-final. We've got TIG Origin up against Trick of China. They went up against each other last month, and it was a little bit closer than some of the other matches we've seen. But first, one last time, here are some of the best moments from the last match. Nova Esports just honestly playing extremely well in Gem Grab. They didn't really give ATM a chance to do anything.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I feel like Nova's Esports had just a very, very convincing day so far in their first match, but also in this one. Yeah, ATM, they got a game in the bank. That's already quite an achievement against Nova Esports, but it's not going to be enough to move on to the next round, obviously, as Nova is just that good. And they will pick up the win here quite convincingly in this semi-final. We'll see them in the grand finals. As you say, they will be joined by those other teams in the second semi-final. I feel like Nova are absolutely the team to beat right now in mainland China, and I don't think they've been challenged quite a lot so far today, Dan.
No, they haven't been challenged all that much yet at all, but there is still plenty of time and plenty more games to come. Here's the little head-to-head today versus Moose. And yeah, I mean, today Nova doing very, very well. Just slightly better stats overall, although he did die more.
Yeah, well, as Ark said, I believe in 1 or 2 matches ago, it's not all the time about dying or staying alive. Sometimes, you know, you can die and find a lot of control, put your team in a better position, and even if it costs you your life, well, it's a worth it sacrifice. That's what makes Brawl Stars and most of the game modes in Brawl Stars very interesting, because you have so many dynamics much deeper just than kills and death.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's take a look one more time at the bracket and see what is happening today. What's happened so far? Here you go. Semi-final 1 is over and done with. Nova Esports took the 3-0 win against ATM. Next up, we've got semi-final 2. TIG Origin face off against Trick of China, which, as I said, is another rematch from last month. It is a rematch from the second semi-final last month, funnily enough, where previously TIG Origin were able to take a 3-1 victory against Trick of China. But that's not completely one-sided. Trick of China was able to grab 1 set last month. It's not a crazy stretch of the imagination to believe they might be able to take 2 or even 3 this month. Let's see what we'll be playing. It's going to be Siege on Bot Drop, then Hot Zone on Dueling Beetles, and then Heist on GG Mortuary, and potentially Hard Rock Mine Shooting Star coming a little bit later. But finally, some Siege. I haven't cast any Siege all day, Teddy. I'm excited. I love me some Siege.
I mean, you know, when you love Lou, you probably love some Siege as well.
Yeah, okay, fair comment. Poco Sprout. Oh, come on. Come on. I quit.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Falcone. I feel like all the brawlers you want to see, we just don't get to see enough of them. And for some of them, we don't get to see any of them.
Have they done this because I've been talking about how much I'm enjoying watching Lou today? Is that why? Are they doing it to spite me?
They just take it personally, you know what I mean?
Real talk though, very good bans, I think, overall. Lou, when you're playing on Siege with the recent buffs that Lou's had, I think if you're not completely confident with Lou, it's a no-brainer to ban it. Stu, makes sense. We've seen this ban all week, the last 2 weeks, all month, basically. And Poco and Sprout are 2 other brawlers that seemingly have come away from the recent balance changes relatively unscathed. I wouldn't say Sprout is unscathed, but maybe was just so strong before that even with the nerfs, Sprout is still so strong. The bans make sense to me.
Yeah, I think they're fair. I do think it's a bit scary that you have Ruffs, Byron, and Amber in the mix, which, you know, are usually
true
amongst the most banned brawlers. So that's going to be quite interesting having all of those 3 brawlers. That's not something you see all that often, to be honest.
Have we seen Byron even banned once today?
I'm not even sure, to be honest.
I don't think we have. I think Byron has been pretty much a mainstay of today. But here we go. Let's get into game 1 of this final semi-final series. Byron on both sides. We got Max on both sides, and we've got Sandy facing off against a Barley. And quite an intense start to the game. Trick or China have been pushed back, but they are going to be able to grab that bolt and get away with it. Good Night just about staying alive. Shui able to grab the bolt on TIG Origin's side, but that's not going to be enough to win the first Siege as the bot is coming in.
Yeah, I really like that super from Plugia, just to secure that kill during the Sandy gadget to heal himself up. This is a very smooth defense from TIG. They do have a single bolt lead. It's not a terrible position for them. Depending on how they take control here, they'll decide whether they actually really want to fight for this Siege or try to pick up some of those bolts leaking out and go for the final one. With a nice double kill, they could actually challenge this Siege already. They're certainly going to be doing that indeed. TIG able to secure Siege bot number 2. They will kick things off with a pretty solid position as well, as obviously after Siege bot you keep control and you can pick up some extra bolts. They will be 1 bolt behind, but I don't think that's the biggest deal. I feel like TIG Origin in a really good position right now.
Yeah, I think that they are looking just fine indeed. as they lay waste to Trick of China's Ike. It's not going to take it down lower than 40%, but honestly, they've got control of the center. They're only one bolt down. Things are looking good. Trick of China, this is your final chance to get that push, to get those eliminations. And to be fair, that is going to be a team wipe. Hang on a second, Teddie.
Yeah, this is kind of the worst case scenario here for TIG Origin. I have to say that it's not going to be a really big siege bot either. It's probably still going to be below level 10, indeed level 9 here indeed. So it is defendable for TIG Origin. It's going a lot faster than the
several eliminations
ones.
Happening as well on TIG Origin, taking out members of Trick of China. They've only got Byron pushing with the siege bot. That might not be enough to get the damage in. 20% on the siege bot. Byron and Max attacking on the left side, but it's not going to do quite enough damage. Sandy's coming in as well. The final push, it's not enough. TIG Origin able to still take the win. That was an explosive finish. But Trick of China just not quite able to get that damage in.
Yeah, I want to point out in that defense, man, from TIG, we'll see that in a bit. I think we're seeing that right now. Look at this. They're rotating the players tanking. Obviously, they get the healing from Barley as well and from Byron. And look at that. It's absolutely beautiful. They're all basically one shot. And it was just enough to take down the siege bot before the players could get in a position to hit that. Beautiful play there.
I mean,
from,
even in
TIG.
addition to the beautiful like tanking defense there, even the fact that just before the siege bot came in, they were able to get 2 brawler eliminations done as well. That obviously helped dramatically. The tanking the siege bot works particularly well with Barley with the healing gadget, obviously, and Byron with the second star power, which allows you to shoot through all of your teammates and the enemies, healing everyone in a single shot. So much was tilted in TIG's favor there, and they were able to get it done despite losing 2 out of 3 sieges. Very impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. And this also kind of started by getting so much damage out of that second siege bot, because often teams, when they have siege bot number 2, that they aren't really too far behind in bolts, they keep control and they just play it safe. They don't really even go for any damage. Here they really invested in damage, and it paid off, because if they hadn't, maybe they would have actually lost this one.
Yeah, maybe that is true. That definitely could have been the case. Moving forwards though, Trick of China going to need to consider what went wrong. To be fair, they didn't lose by a significant margin. It was like 10 or so percentage points in it at the end. But is that going to be enough for them to want to considerably switch up their team? Again, you see Amber being very powerful in Siege as well. We haven't really seen her played all that much because she's been banned so much, but she's not banned in this set. Maybe she can jump into action here. We're going to find out. It's going to be Byron, Max, Barley again for Trick of China. In fact, it's going to be a mirror match. Okay. So the Sandy switching out for a Max on both sides.
Yeah, that is quite logical. I do feel like Max can provide just so much extra speed to the team, which helps just cover a bit more ground and keep control across the entire center of the map. This is going to be a level 2 siege bot to kick things off for Trick of China. Quite similar to our previous game. We'll see how clean the defense can be this time. It's looking pretty decent so far. They will take a bit more damage than in game number 1, but it's still a very comfortable situation. However, they only have a bolt in the bank. They'll be looking for more if they want to have a chance of getting that second or third siege bot. A really good kill from Free, and actually this is looking like TIG. They're gonna once again get that second siege bot. This time, I'm gonna be a bit scared, you know, if they can't find enough value early on, or if they can't defend well enough later on. I don't know. It was a bit of a scary game for TYG, sorry, in game 1. It's not looking like it's much more convincing so far in game 2.
I mean, again, Trick of China, repeat of the last time, really. They were able to get that first siege bot. They lost the second one. However, 61%, 59% damage still remaining for Trick of China. If Trick of China can get another team wipe like they did last game at this point, I think that it's definitely possible that they could win this, but TIG Origin are going to fight tooth and nail to try and prevent that from happening. It looks like they're taking bolts nicely, but plus Gia does go down. Shui is getting weak, and the team are pushing again. It is looking like a repeat of the last game. Teddie, and with 6 and 8 bolts banked for Trick of China. Here we go. It's all going to come down to TIG Origin's defense once more.
The siege bot is 1 level lower. Is that going to be enough to make a difference? Nice dive from Shui to pick up the kill over there. Does get traded out. But yeah, this is not looking like a very clean defense at all, especially with that Byron super. This is enough. Yeah, indeed. Trick of China tying things up. We're going to game number 3 on Siege on Bond. And so far, it's looking like we got quite a series in front of us.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, Teddie. Again, this was a very similar game to last time. Only this time, TIG weren't able to get quite as much damage on the enemy Ike as they did in the previous game, and their defense wasn't quite as clean. As you said, those few extra percentage points made all of the difference. As you can see here, this is the push. Byron, they're able to get that super in, and there's the overtake. I'm not sure how low it got. It actually got down to 31%, so actually they were able to get TIG's safe Ike really low indeed. I don't know how this one's going to go, Teddie. These teams do seem quite evenly matched.
Yeah, I agree. I think that overall, I think Trick of China have been playing a bit better. They have been getting the more siege bots. They've been getting those final siege bots, which are much more important as well. I think that Trick of China, I don't want to say they got lucky, but they had all the elements going in their favor in that first game, where they were in a situation where they had control, they had a bit of a bold lead for that final siege bot, and they had a big damage lead. And even then it was close, and they just barely won in game 2. They had none of that when they went for a dive to pick up a kill towards the end, as you pointed out in game 1. In game 2, they tried the same thing, but they went out a bit late. The max went down as the siege bot was already in Ike range. It was just not really enough pressure. The kill came in too late. The defense was more slumpy. They didn't have as much damage with their own siege bot. So everything that went well in game 1 just didn't go well in game 2. So we had a very drastic difference here.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we are going to be heading into set 1, game 3 shortly, Teddie. And this will give us some indication of which team is leading this match. This could go either way, but the advantage that the winning team does get will be nothing to be sniffed at. 1 set win in a best out of 5 is a very nice way to start. And I think things are going to get started just right now. Here we go. Max, Byron, Barley again for both sides. No compositional changes. This is a mirror match once more. And this time, TIG Origin able to snag the first 2 bolts.
Yeah, that's going to be quite important, as they were struggling a bit at keeping that middle control. Getting that first siege bot is definitely going to be helping out at that aspect. First time that they get a siege bot that is not the second siege bot, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good point. They failed to get the first one every time, but they've also failed to get the third one every time. Let's see how much this does. The main purpose of this siege bot, though, is to get some control of the center. Actually, it's got to be said, 20% damage, that is not bad, and very good control of the center picks up. Plus Gia going to take a little bit of damage from the enemy Byron, but able to pop the gadget to heal himself anyway. The damage is starting to come in from Trick of China. TIG Origin, though, darting from bolt to bolt, collecting quite a lot of them. It is looking like they probably get the second siege bot here as well.
Yeah, this is the moment where you're looking at those bolts leaking left and right, and maybe giving a good lead for Trick of China.
They need to. I think they need to win off this, though. I think they need to win off of this siege.
I don't know. They're only a bolt behind. It's definitely still doable. I mean, they've been losing that third siege bot with a bolt behind, you know. So you're absolutely not wrong there. I feel like on paper, they're in a good situation. Once again, this is much more similar to game 1. They have a good bolt count here, TIG. They have control, and they have a big damage lead.
Where's the third member of Trick of China? There's only 2. Where'd the third one go? What's Barley been doing? I don't think he got eliminated. I'm so confused.
I'm not entirely sure. However, what I do know is that the Siege bot is going the way of TIG Origin. And yeah, as you're saying, it's already game over here for Trick of China, at least for that first set, of course.
Maybe it got eliminated and I didn't spot it, but like I'm sure we saw a member of TIG Origin get eliminated and no eliminations on the other side. It was just missing in action there for the key fight. That was bizarre.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. I was kind of keeping track at the bolts and at the fights. I wasn't really looking where there were no fights, you know. So I didn't even really pick up that the Barley left there. I genuinely don't know what happened to him. That would be an odd moment to have some connectivity issue or your mom stepping into your room. But you know, it's gaming from home. Those things are going to be happening, right?
I don't. I've got to say, Teddie. I think that if I was playing in a competition as serious as this, I'd probably ask my mom to just give me a little bit of space just for the 30 or so minutes that I'm playing. But either way, TIG Origin are able to take this one down. It was a close set indeed. Trick of China did take the second game, as you see right now. The damage coming in thick and fast, being more than enough. But now the replay for the final game, and here we see the second Siege bot going in, doing that little bit of extra damage. But really, what counted in this game was the fight over the third Siege bot, the fight for the bolts that came after this. And that fight went in favor of TIG Origin. Oh boy. Look at the bolts collected by Jason.
That's a whole lot of bolts, especially for Barley, you know, a brawler that doesn't necessarily want to get in the open too much. He's been doing a good job at finding those bolts. I think that's something very interesting that we had in that match overall as well, is that the Byron on Trick of China was focusing a bit more on trying to poison the opponents, whereas for TIG it was healing themselves a bit more. But the next map here is gonna be Dueling Beetles for Hot Zone. Quite a classic at this point in Hot Zone, to be honest. I'm not sure what to expect. I mean, Amber is on the table here since it's not a ban. I believe Ruffs was not banned either, if I recall correctly. So those could be some opportunities to explore. Ems has been played quite a lot here recently. I feel like Barley could actually be quite viable as well. I don't know, any brawlers you feel like I'm missing, Dan?
See, again, this is my brain just like time lapsing back to last year. But when I see GG Mortuary, I instantly think Brock, and I know that Brock isn't particularly meta at the moment. But essentially,
we have Dueling Beetles first, by the way. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Oh my goodness.
No worries.
My bad. Oh my goodness. Dueling Beetles. Are just all of the good Hot Zone brawlers, right? It's the battle for the center. Sandy often is one of the absolute best when it comes to this map, just because she can cover the entire zone with your invisibility force, and you can't see you through it. But yeah, I don't know. Hot Zone is still a really interesting one, and I feel like the meta in Hot Zone still evolves almost on a month-by-monthly basis, as frankly, it's the newest game mode, and brawlers are still sort of learning how to play over time.
Yeah, I completely agree. I feel like it's still a game mode where teams lack a bit of experience, although they have been focusing particularly on it because it's the new game mode, because those are newer maps compared to whatever you could find in Gem Grab and so on. But yeah, so sometimes it's very funny because you have like no balance changes and then suddenly your brawler is not meta anymore. You're not exactly sure why, but teams just stop playing him. There's still a lot of figuring out around Hot Zone. I agree with Sandy being a good option here as well. Sprout used to be really dominant, BB as well. Both brawlers took quite a hit with the nerfs. So I don't know, maybe we'll see some of that, maybe not. I feel like Amber is still quite a viable option on this map, Ems as well. And I'm expecting to see at least one of those two brawlers.
Yes, absolutely. That's a very good point. Ems, I mean, in a similar way to Sandy with the area of effect, is very powerful. And I guess what you could say the same thing about Amber, right? Because the super is the area of effect, and that damage over time is very significant. Either way, I think we can expect some very good games coming here. Again, looking back to last month, TIG Origin, Trick of China fought against each other in the semifinals. TIG Origin were able to win 3-1. Trick of China were able to take one set. We saw in Siege just how close Trick of China were to taking that set. I really do think we're in for a good match.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I just thought about another comp that has been slowly getting in the meta, and now with some recent buffs, it's actually quite strong. It's a combination of Colt and B to open up the map, and we have it here.
There it is, both
Here
sides as
we
well.
Go.
All right, Teddie, you've been a little bit of a show off there, just flexing your big brain muscles and coming out with that just before. Did you know something we didn't?
Well, I try my best. That's what I'm here for.
All right, so we got Plus Gia popping that V gadget and actually getting a lot of damage in on White. White able to heal back up nicely though. Trick of China do have slight control over the hot zone, but it does look as though TIG Origin could be able to take that away from them. Hang on a second. Good night with a very nice super, able to trade with Colt. It's only Jason versus Colt now. And it looks like they're both going to go down. Trades all over the shop.
Yeah, it's been all over the place so far with kills after kills for both teams. The difference is that Trick of China, while fighting, they were standing in that hot zone. This is what makes that 33% deficit for TIG Origin. So much better of a start for Trick of China. I do have to say that the more the map opens up, the harder it should get for White to succeed on that Barley, because there's just a lot less cover. But the fact is, Barley, especially with that extra range and extra damage, he's still a threat even without rolls at this point, especially against brawlers like Colt that require a very, very solid aim, and it's easy to miss a couple of shots.
It is. However, TIG Origin finally able to get control of this zone. This game has been very interesting. Feels like they need to keep hold of this now if they want to win, because Trick of China are so close to winning themselves, but they're able to get quite a few good eliminations. The whole of Trick of China goes down. This buys TIG Origin so much time to get those points. Jason's super is ready to go. If they need a burst of urgent healing, it's there, but this is going to be the final push now from Trick of China.
Yeah, this is where we see a bit of a struggle from the Barley, but yeah, with a good super, it's only Plusha left alive. They managed to almost tie things up, but the kill comes through from Jason. White is taking some damage as well. He might actually end up going down. Yeah, this is extremely close, and anything is still possible.
Yeah, 15 percentage points remaining. 10, it's tied at 1990. Trick of China need to move into the zone. They need to do it now. Good night goes down. 4 seconds to go. I don't think they can get these eliminations now. Woo! TIG Origin able to take that one down. Oh, Teddie, that was close.
That was such an unbelievable comeback. It was like 20% to like 80% at some point. And TIG Origin, once they got that position locked down, well, they kept it locked down. And that's kind of the story here in Hot Zone, right? You just want to stay in that zone as long as you can. Even if you have a rough start, if you're able to defend it afterwards, you can come back. You can see the difference was huge. TIG managed to get back into it. And I think this is something you have very often when you have a Colt on one side and then on the other side a Barley. The longer you get into that match, the more you've had supers and gadgets destroying the map and making it hard for the Barley to find any sort of value.
Yeah, that's exactly it, Teddie. It was a struggle. That whole game was a struggle for both sides, but ultimately TIG are able to take this one down. One more win from them in Hot Zone will seal the deal with 2 sets, meaning that they will then head on to potentially the final set of the match. So this next game is very important to these teams. Trick of China do not want to be going down so easily.
Oh yeah, I mean they definitely don't want to be doing worse than last month, right? That's the hardest, I would say. You want to do at least the same, but ideally better. And when I say better, I mean even hopefully win that entire match. They still have plenty of chances to show us what they're made of, but it's slowly closing down as TIG. I mean, one more game, as you said, and we're hopping into set 3 with a 2-0 lead. That's a comfortable situation for the least. And TIG, they're showing some really solid stuff. As you said earlier, they're kind of the closest team to Nova China's level right now. And they're definitely aiming for those finals. They want to be getting that revenge against Nova China in the grand finals.
Absolutely they do. It's so important for them. This is the rivalry in mainland China. Of course, TIG want to be showing that actually it's not just you this year. We are competing for that title. We will be the ones competing at the global finals this year, not you. And that's very exciting. That is a story that I am excited to follow throughout the year. But in the meantime, Trick of China are going to get in the way in every way that they can. They're a team that have shown that they do have what it takes. Trick of China versus TIG Origin is so dramatically different to Bro versus TIG Origin that we saw earlier. These few games, these few moments in the games are showing you how different the skill level is through these teams. I really do think Trick of China have a shot here.
Oh yeah, I mean, not only do they have a shot, they actually need that shot, right? They want to make sure they are up there. To be honest, making it to the semifinals is already really good because they made it to the semifinals last month already, and that means that they are at least gonna be in the top 3 at the end of the month here. So that would be, you know, in line for a spot for the World Championship. We do have a couple of trades left and right so far. Not a lot of capture time, Dan.
No, but Trick of China are able to get themselves in the zone now. Jason and Plus are going to do what they can to get them out. B, it has to be said, is extremely powerful against these brawlers just because that second shot deals so much damage. It's almost a one-shot against Barley and Brock, etc. But 2v2, Trick of China still finding themselves in the zone. But Good Night has been pushed back, and Imp is the only remaining member alive. And now TIG Origin get their moment.
Yeah, I just want to point out that Plusia had his super, but he decided to use it after he hit the regular shot so that he could follow up immediately with a charge shot and get that 3k damage, close out that kill. A bit of a, you know, basic B101 lesson, but for some people that might actually be quite useful to understand.
And it's just the battle for the center, but TIG Origin just keep managing to step in and just get a little tick off. However, Good Night gets an elimination on Shui. White, Jason and Plus G are all down. It is all 3 members of Trick out of China in the zone now. And TIG Origin need to do something about this.
Yeah, it's not looking too good for TIG, Trick of China. They have the zone really well secured. White is going to take a lot of damage, but he's getting healed back by Good Night. They are heading towards those final 20% now as they are getting closer and closer to a victory. They have no one in the zone anymore, although Good Night walks forward, does get taken out. That's a team wipe in favor of TIG Origin. They're back in middle control, and they might actually have a similar comeback to game 1 here in Hot Zone if they keep it up like that.
Oh my gosh, Teddie! They just need to keep Trick of China out for a few more seconds, and those eliminations will seal the deal. TIG Origin move on to the final set that they need to win. We are 1 set remaining. It's GG Mortuary Heist. If TIG Origin take that, they are sailing through to the finals. But Trick of China still have plenty of opportunities to make a comeback, but they need to start winning consistently, and they need to start doing it now.
Man, those matches, those games have been so close here between TIG Origin and Trick of China. Such back and forth. But it is TIG that has been more consistent at closing out those games. But man, in an alternate universe, it would be 2-0 right now for Trick of China, and it wouldn't require a very large difference. Every single game was extremely close, whether it was in Siege or here in Hot Zone. I really like it. It's quite a heartbreaking way to lose some sets for Trick of China because they really played well and they were extremely close. Actually, sort of in the better position a lot of the time, and ending up just kind of choking towards the end with TIG Origin able to clutch up and steal away those games. those sets. And heading towards set 3 now, I mean, look at that value from Shui. I have to say, even though that was a really close game, he was definitely the much more impactful Colt. Honestly, respecting. Look at this, 540 damage taken. That's really high, especially if Max is your favorite brawler.
Yes, I completely agree. That is a lot. That is a lot of damage coming in. Teddie, this could be the final set of the series. We are moving on to GG Mortuary for a little bit of heist. Now, I'm actually going to talk about the correct map this time. My brain goes back to Brock's gadget coming out and how powerful that was in GG Mortuary. Obviously, since Brock's gadget, we've then had Colt's second gadget, which also allows you to tear through the walls. And honestly, when we see Colts on this map, they tend to just go ahead, pop the gadget immediately, and just take down as many of the walls as they can. So just get out of the way. We just want to tear down their safe.
Yeah, there's a lot of nice lineups you can have, obviously, with the walls towards the middle, where with one shot you can take down like 12 walls. Absolutely ridiculous how much value you can get out of that silver bullet. So that's pretty much always getting played, just because it makes it so much easier to defend and also attack. It just makes it a lot better to hold on to your control. And this is the kind of stuff where if you don't do it yourself, and your opponents do it, and you know, they're running that Colt, they're opening up the map, you're just in a really, really dangerous position because you have such a big disadvantage control-wise.
Right. Well, of course. The thing that I always find interesting, Teddie, is that when I watch it, it feels like both Colts end up doing the same thing and like actually benefiting themselves and benefiting the other team in the same way. What is the strategy for blowing up walls in GG Mortuary? Like, which walls do you want to come down and which walls do you want to really stay up?
Well, there's two pretty much like, you know, standard walls you want to be deleting. So the wall towards the middle that gives your team easier access to the middle, also more angles to cover, you know, from your opponents pushing up. And then there's just usually something like a straight line that you just shoot to get, you know, a little shot on safe and a bit of a lineup to get some more shots. There are some other variants. Sometimes they also destroy the second wall in the middle. Sometimes they destroy the entire defensive wall from your opponents. There's a lot of possibilities, and we are seeing the Cold here on Shui. And yeah, this is what I was talking about. Usually, when you have a Colt on one side, it's just an absolutely huge advantage, and that's the reason why you end up seeing Colt on both teams, because you don't want to be the team that doesn't have the Colt.
So destroying that wall prevents the enemy Barley from just sort of sitting behind the wall and blasting at your safe, is that right?
Exactly, and if you look at this, you know, usually there would be a wall pretty much on that entire middle and left side, which means that it's really hard to cover any angles from afar. So you can't really hold on those stroke points as effectively as usually. If you look at the movement and how easily they can navigate through the map, it's just much better for TIG.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. However, nothing too much happening right now. Goodnight is going to go ahead and use the super, which doesn't actually do anything at all. Imp also uses the Edgar super and doesn't manage to get any eliminations. We have a bit of a stalemate here. Jason's going to try and take out the the Nani, but instead gets taken out by the Tick himself. And now, Trick of China actually able to push forwards. Another healing gadget from Goodnight. That's two of those used up already. They really need to take advantage of this push, but TIG Origin are pushing back and pushing back hard.
Yeah, first damage on safe here was less than a minute left, and it's only about 10%. It's slowly getting larger and larger as Pluja is gonna get a nice super down. He should get taken out at some point, but they're not really focusing him, and that means that he can just pop that second super. Does get taken out on the landing, and we have a Peep moving forward. Might we maybe see teleportation? No, it is going to be straight up 4,000 damage on that save. Still a pretty comfortable lead here for TIG, especially as Shui is sneaking up on that left side. Nice kill over there. This is looking really good for TIG.
I mean, it is. They've been able to get over 50% damage done. That 10% very quickly turned into 50, thanks in large part to the amount of damage dealt by Colette's super. Now all TIG have to do is defend. And that shouldn't be too much of a problem. I don't think Trick of China can deal 50% in 5 seconds. Nani is going to try, but it's certainly not going to be enough. And TIG Origin find themselves on match point.
Yeah, I don't really understand here the strategy from Trick of China. It kind of feels like what the meta would be if there was no silver bullet, which
okay.
Unfortunately for them there is, and Colt was definitely picked by TIG, and definitely the big difference maker here. It's not even like they really had anything that really counters him either, so a bit of an odd team composition here from Trick of China did not work out, and it's a bit unfortunate for them that it happens at the moment where they're, you know, giving away match points. But at least it proves my point that you kind of need a Colt in GG Mortuary, unless you really have something special ready.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, just the freedom of movement that you get by clearing up that wall, blocking your own defenses, clearly helped a lot with the start of the game. TIG were able to get themselves in that position where they were able to deal quite a lot of damage to the enemy safe nicely, and the other team were never really able to find that position until right at the very end, and it was just too little too late. However, I want to be optimistic about this for Trick of China, Teddie. I really do. They have got one heck of an uphill battle.
Yeah, it's do or die for Trick of China. They need to win every single game in this set, and then they need to win every next set as well. So quite a challenging comeback here if we can. Obviously, we can't call it a comeback just yet, but you know what I mean. If they were to go for the comeback, it would be quite a challenging way up there, as Jason gets a nice tank down on the Nani to kick things off. Does trade a bit of damage left and right, but the advantage of having that Byron is that even when you don't have a direct angle on your opponents, you can decide to use your shots as heals to find some value for your teammates.
Oh,
yeah, I like that TP a lot.
Do you see the TP in? It was the difference between doing 10% damage and 14% damage. Obviously, the dying and the respawn is fine because you're still able to defend your safe for a few moments. That's all good. 14% now. Trick of China in the lead. Is that going to last? Surge also getting in a very nice position here on the right side.
Now we saw Surge play here earlier, but regarding that TP, he only got 2 shots down, so was a tiny bit of a better timing maybe, or better dodges. He could have definitely gotten 3 shots down, and then it would have been 3,000 extra damage that would have really increased the value of that gadget. So far, so good for Trick of China. It is a pretty decent lead in their favor. Are they going to be blocking that? I think that should try, but that's going to be a TP once again.
No,
Never mind.
No, it's not. They
Straight
got
up
tricked.
the damage. This was looking like a really good, possibility to go for the TP.
But that's the mind games that you can play with Peep on this map, because the whole other team had to go back to deal with the Nani, which never even appeared. Now 33 seconds on the clock. TIG Origin so behind. Shui goes down. TIG Origin are on the defensive, and their safe is weaker. I think Trick of China are going to take this one.
Yeah, it's definitely looking good here, as Imp is going to get that 3rd level, helping him reach a similar range compared to Jason's on the Byron. Plusha is really low HP. Jason was a nice heal. There's some damage coming through. This might be enough, actually. It is.
Wait a second. What? Teddie, I cannot believe the comeback that we just witnessed, but TIG will be your 2nd finalists. Once again, going up against Nova China. Teddie, I cannot believe the comeback that game.
I think my brain kind of shut down when I was trying to process what was happening, and I was just there like okay, that just happened. Out of nowhere, TIG just able to pick up all the kills they needed, and then an insane amount of damage. And that's kind of where, we're talking about mind games with those peep and TPs and all that stuff. I completely agree. I think it's a great aspect of it. But here, if he had TP'd and gotten 3-4 shots down, which he was kind of possible because there wasn't a lot of people defending, I think that Trick of China could have actually won that game.
Maybe that could have made the difference. But either way, that was an incredible match. Yes, it ended up being a 3-0 set win to TIG Origin, but Trick of China absolutely put up a fight until the bitter end, and a bitter end it was for them indeed. Teddie, is this how you expected this match to go?
I mean, I expected TIG to come up on top just because of the history between the two teams and the fact that TIG won last month. That is basically what I base it on, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't expect to have one of those matches, and it happens once in a while where you have a match that is a 3-0. You look at the scoreboard, you think easy win for TIG Origin, especially since Trick of China, I think they only won one game in the entire match. But if you look at every single game individually, it was extremely close. It really came down to the wire, and it was a challenging match for TIG despite the very dominant scoreline, in the end of the story.
Well, here we have just a few stats to leave this series behind with. TIG Origin, though, honestly really proved that they have been stepping up their game for this month. And Teddie, I've got to tell you, I think that this finals is going to be one to watch. I think that you and Ark are in for a treat.
Yeah, I think so too, man. I feel like we got quite an exciting grand final. It is the rematch we were kind of hoping for. I mean, I love seeing new names, but I also love some good history between teams and some good revenge stories. It's not revenge just yet, but it's definitely possible. Let's go give a look at the bracket, how we got all the way until here. I mean, if you look at Nova, they didn't drop a single set so far. TIG, it's literally the same story. So two teams that were really dominant throughout the bracket. TIG was the closest game out of the two teams, obviously. We talked about the fact that it looked
honestly,
way less
Teddie,
close than it was.
The bottom half of the bracket looked very similar to the bottom half of the bracket last week. Either way, we will be getting into the finals in just a few moments, where Ark is going to jump back in with you, Teddie, and take you through the action. But first, just in case you didn't hear last month, we've got some bad news, Teddie. The Brawl Stars Championship trophy has been stolen. Last week, we gave you an update on the current situation, and in case you missed it, we'll get you up to speed right now. Check it out.
Initiating system. Scan crime scene. Scanning for evidence. Evidence detected. Save evidence files. Shutting down. 3, 2, 1.
Is the trophy, Teddie? We need to find the trophy. The players need something to play for.
Yeah, I mean, besides the trophy, there is only $1 million on the line, so I feel like, maybe, they can kind of see if there's some alternatives to it, or they could buy a new trophy, but there is only one Brawl Stars Championship trophy in the end, so we definitely should be looking for that, but we got some games to cast, Ark.
Yeah, I mean, I was literally going to say they can take some money out of the prize, but I don't think the players will be too happy about that. The trophy is an expensive item to be taking out the mix. But we have got the grudge match that we were all hoping for this time around. Nova Esports will take on TIG Origin again. The number 1 seed goes up against the number 3 seed. And, I think for me, TIG Origin are going to have to think through this a little bit more than last time. It was a bit of an overhaul on the Nova side of things last month, and they're definitely going to want to prove themselves a much better team this time round.
Yeah, I mean, so far, if you look at it, Nova Esports definitely, the favorites in the region. But on the other hand, TIG, they're the first team, I believe, in 2 months of monthly finals to take a single set to Nova. I'll double check what I'm saying right now, but I'm pretty confident about that. And yeah, indeed, they're the only team that has taken a single set from. Oh no, actually it was a game. It wasn't a set, so not even a set, man. This is actually, a bit of a repeat of last month. Let's hope for TIG that they can bring some more on the table coming into those grand finals. Obviously, they have practiced a lot. This is the team they lost against in the grand finals last month, so they definitely have worked hard to keep up with the meta and see whatever Nova was up to and try to just counter everything they could.
Yeah, we've got to remind ourselves, Nova Esports only dropped 2 sets in qualifiers. That's a really important statistic here. I think it goes to show their experience in that respect. And, they were at the World Finals last year. They had a rivalry against this very team, TIG. So, this rivalry continues into this year and proves itself to be a story that continues to develop. I would love to see some more back and forth this time around, and TIG Origin, I've had a bit of a chance today to kind of see what Nova Esports have brought to the table. They've had also just as much time to adapt to a new meta and new opportunity as Nova Esports. So I think they've honestly got things really quite wide open to take advantage of right now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I tend to say this the same, especially when you have a team that really dominates your region. They're the team they look up to. They're the team that everyone is going to be analyzing, is going to be VOD reviewing. And if TIG did their homework, they could grab a bit of an advantage there. But here, in this case, it can go both ways, kind of, because TIG, they made it to the grand finals last time. So Nova, it's not like TIG is coming out of the blue and they're completely new and unexpected in the scene either.
A team like Nova Esports are very aggressive, and I think, if I'm TIG right now, I've got to be thinking that, using some of that aggression against the opposition, letting Nova Esports make the first move, and then trying to kind of come behind that approach and get those timings behind the shots to kind of like fill in a little around that lead and allow Nova Esports to have that kind of feeling of control, that kind of misguide that a little bit and try to make some good brawler choices along the way to kind of counter what we've been able to see so far from their approach. But definitely for me, a lot of brawlers since the balance changes already starting to prove themselves in terms of worthy opponents in the meta.
Yeah, I completely agree. And one more thing is Nova Esports, they're a team that doesn't lose. So they're not used to losing either. They haven't dropped a single set. So if TIG managed to kind of steal a set away, maybe we can see a new side of Nova where they're actually getting challenged and where they actually, have to deal with a break in momentum, have to deal with the mood going down or with some uncertainty, because so far it looked very easy to them. They need to get challenged, and I feel like that's where we're gonna see, the true Nova Esports, how they can react to that. Nuts and bolts for Siege is gonna be the map to kick things off. Split in Hot Zone is gonna be next up, and Hot Potato on Heist, of course, for set number 3. We'll have Canal Grande in Bounty and Sneaky Fields in Brawl if necessary. Any particular picks? I guess we can wait for the bans before we talk about that. Man, this is quite a tough matchup. We'll have the ban soon, and I feel like Nova Esports should be quite comfortable coming into this match, but TIG, I'm sure they've been working hard behind the scenes, grinding their way up and practicing for this specific matchup.
Yeah, and I think you said it perfectly right, Teddie, when you mentioned that, TIG Orange needs to get it early. We need to get inside the minds of Nova, pull out some wires and tweak a few bolts and loosen them and put them ideally in their pockets going into Siege. But the bans are in, and I quite like what I'm seeing from Nova Esports straight off the bat. Barley and Stu. Barley very, very dominant, especially with Siege coming up, and Rico and BB. We're starting to see some variation going on right now in the meta, and locking down 4 unique brawlers here, so that's going to shut a lot of ideas down.
Yeah, I feel like Nova is kind of going for meta bans, whereas TIG are more map-specific bans. And that's something we've seen very proper to this region as well earlier in the quarterfinals. And look at this, Rico, definitely a ban, absolutely for Split. Also a good ban for Hot Potato. So that's already 2 maps in the 3 first sets that are, you know, was a really strong ban. BB, also not bad on Split, also not bad on Hot Potato, also not even bad on Nuts and Bolts. Canal Grande, maybe not so much, but Sneaky Fields, definitely a possible brawler over there as well. So I really like this from TIG, actually. I feel like they want to actually pick up sets early on in this match because they need it. And banning some brawlers specifically for those early maps, I'm all about that. I think if you're the underdog, it's a really, really good statement coming into that match.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I do feel like this is, for me at least, like one of the first instances where I've really noticed a pattern emerging within a region of actually banning specifics around maps and game modes. And I think that that's the right approach that TIG Origin have to approach this with, you know, being a little bit on the back foot as a result of last month's matchup between themselves and Nova Esports. They have to adapt. They have to change up their strategy and kind of get ahead of the game. And I've got to say, that's what I'm feeling from these bans myself. And, you know, if they do play this correctly by shutting down the big players in those maps and game modes and looking to then try to anticipate what Nova will play instead and counter that and plan that motion through thoroughly, I think that they do stand a pretty decent chance. But the skill has to match the method, and that's what we need to see next.
Yeah, exactly. Having strong bans is definitely, you know, something nice getting into your match. It is usually not going to be the biggest difference making either. It is going to come down to the field, how it's going to be played, the comps, the strategy, and obviously, you know, your mechanical skill, your teamwork, all that stuff that you expect from a Brawl Stars match. So I feel like the bans are maybe a bit stronger on TIG's side, but I would definitely still consider Nova as, you know, the favorite, if we can call it like that, and TIG as, you know, the runner-up. If you look at their history, Nova is looking good, but TIG, they're here to challenge them tonight.
I just feel bad for Stu, man. I mean, I want to see Stu into the mix. I want to see, you know, how he really can approach different various, you know, game modes and skill sets. And I mean, people are really giving him a hard time, and he's not getting even like a look in. But I think that as the balance changes kind of settle in a little bit, we might see him come back into the mix, or maybe he's just still in a place where he's just too unpredictable. I've got to say the Barley ban for me as well. I think probably the smartest ban we've seen today. I think that we've seen Barley play arguably more than any other kind of brawler. So I think getting him out of the mix is wise, especially with Siege, Nuts and Bolts. It's a good chance to get an early lead by taking him out of the mix. Carl, interesting.
Yeah, Carl has been creeping his way back in the meta. I was watching some Asia gameplay earlier this morning, very early in the morning. And I saw a lot of Carl, surprisingly enough. Quite a bit of Carl. It's been creeping its way back in the meta. I would quite call it a strong pick, but it's definitely a playable pick on the right maps and in the right hands. And usually, I mean, that's how we see a good brawler.
I honestly think that Carl is a really solid pick, actually. I mean, he just did have a buff of a 10% increase in range. I think that's going to place him much more closer towards what he used to be prior to his nerf, which kind of rendered him out of the meta entirely. But now I think going to be in a much nicer place. Ev's an interesting pick, and a great sprout wall in the left-hand side there for me. That's going to really force TIG into some nooks and crannies, and you know, Nova continue to bank the bolts. And so far for me, a great start from them.
Yeah, and today just showed us, you know, why Carl can be so useful. There's just a lot of mobility overall. You can play it in a very versatile way. You can use it super to like fall back and escape. You can use it to go aggressively. You can use it to win a 1v1 or even crazier fights than that. This is the second siege battle already for Nova Esports. So far, TIG struggling a bit. They have a low HP player on the right-hand side. Both M's trading each other out, but it doesn't even matter because the damage is enough. And that means that Nova Esports, they kick things off with game one in the pocket. Pretty flawless game, if I may say. It's pretty rare that games end in 2 siege bots, especially when they're not like super high level either. I don't know, man. TIG, they gotta show us some more here, because this was very convincing from Nova out of the bat.
Very strong, very collected and solid. And again, I've got to say, I do like the brawler picks. I think Sprout can get a tremendous amount of value on this map, despite the recent nerf, and the bolts. Not too much of a degree of separation between Today and Jason there. But for me, I've got to say, like, the control aspect that I'm seeing from Nova here, looking much more solid and sure of itself in comparison.
Yeah, I completely agree. He was going in much more aggressively, where he really used a good mix of versatility that Carl has to both engage and disengage with those gadgets and supers. And I really like that. I feel like that was lacking a bit in TIG. I really loved how Today would constantly just get really close in their face, steal their bolts, the ones that were very safe on their side, and just falling back afterwards. That's how you want to be playing Carl in Siege.
I think for me, TIG Origin, if they were to open up the map a little bit, especially if Nova continue that same kind of comp, it could really lend itself towards their advantage. I mean, Ems really struggles with any kind of ranged brawler. I think that Sprout, kind of thrives on having walls to hide behind. With Barley out of the mix in terms of bans here, I think that we might be seeing a fair amount of Sprout, especially with Canal Grande potentially on the cards up later. I think that was the third round. So they're not going to change things up here. They're going to stick with the same idea. I think it obviously works. The mirror matchup is going to lend itself much better down to whoever plays it best. And at the moment, I've got to say, I feel like Nova have got some good momentum behind themselves. And again, that confidence definitely showing more so than TIG Origin for me right now.
Yeah, Nova Esports once again with the first Siege bot, a level 3 first Siege bot as well. That's pretty much as good as they come. And that is gonna be a good way to keep on to that control. If you are a bit new to Siege, you'll see that most of the time on that first Siege bot, actually basically all of the time, except for some very rare exceptions, players don't really care about finding damage there. They just want to keep on control so that they can keep rolling with the next Siege bots.
Yeah, and I've got to say that this is a control-based comp, exactly that. Carl is great for that and really putting lane pressure. Good play from Jason there, gets a bolt banked, and then surely a second to follow if he continues to hold. This is the best chance so far from TIG, and it was just trying to make sure that he can bank these bolts for his team. But some important banks, it must be said, from TIG Origin here, because they do need to build up something and also defend, in the respect that they are. The level 6 coming in for Nova. And for me, if TIG Origin can maybe get a little bit of value, not necessarily even much.
Did I just see a very big brain move from Plucia? I think he put that wall on the left side so that OU could not wall off and then gadget and place it on the other side, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, Sprout's a defender. I mean, such a strong brawler to have in your arsenal, and that's why it's such a great brawler to have in game modes like Siege to delay the advance of the bot. A huge factor, but now TIG Origin must really hold strong. They've got some momentum, but Nova are starting to gain theirs in return. In retaliation to this, they're on the back foot for the first time in this competition against TIG, who lost the Nova last month, and they are going to have to defend a level 7.
It's not the biggest Siege bot in the world, but there is definitely not a big margin error here for TIG Origin. It is 13% that separates both teams. That dive is not enough quite yet, but it's going to be the Siege bot to close things out, and Nova Esports take this set. I mean, game 1 was very convincing. Game 2, we had some really good stuff from TIG. It just barely wasn't enough, man. One bolt making the difference. That's going to be heartbreaking for them, but it's showing some hope coming into those next sets.
They really needed to hold themselves better in the mid after that push, and maybe just to play a little bit more defensive, or just to shut down. M's such a great brawler, honestly, to shut down your opposition when they're coming out from a push. So I think they just needed to they were so close. They were honestly so close for me, and it could have been a very different story, but Nova just showing those better signs, and there's the Sprout wall coming down, and then they're redirecting the advance, and again, that other super as well. Possibly the result of the gadget there, I would imagine, from the transplant for me.
Yeah, really good stuff. And I just want to point out again that Plucia actually placed his super on the what I refer to as the Yoshi sprout wall on this map, in order to block the rotation from the siege boat, so that basically OU could not force the long rotation. It would be a shorter rotation. That's something I hadn't seen ever before. Maybe it was just a coincidence, but it really didn't seem like it. So that's actually quite a big brain sprout wall. You like to see that. You can do some really creative stuff. Look at the team damage though on OU, 53% damage. That's basically being more than half of the team by yourself. Obviously, damage doesn't reflect necessarily how useful you are to the team. There's way more to that, but that's a whole lot of damage.
Yeah, it's for me a really strong sign of reflection of control and placing pressure down there, and that's another key mechanic that's going to come into play going into split. Pressure and hot zone is all about that, and just pushing your opposition away from the hot zone so you can capture yourself. Applying pressure is definitely going to be something which both these two teams are going to have to really think through going into our next game mode.
Yeah, split definitely a map where a brawler like Rico and BB could have been absolutely played, especially Rico right now, absolutely killing it on split. I think as a replacement, maybe a Gale. I feel like Gale was kind of creeping his way back up as a really strong defending brawler for split. I haven't seen him at all today. Maybe it's something that's gonna be coming now. Do you have any other expectations? Barley for the middle part is still a really good option. Maybe some tankier options as well, or Surge. What do you think, Ark?
Barley was a ban, so I think Sprout's probably the go-to choice for that. I think that Surge in the mid could be a really viable option. We've seen that prove successful, and I think Rosa, especially a great brawler, as we saw, played so successfully well earlier, and I believe it was actually by Nova to do so, using Rosa's gadgets to great effect to really set their shoes tightly into the ground. Other brawlers I would say are really viable here. I mean, TIG has not been as strong meta-wise, but has been an option. I think you're right, actually. Gale is a good counter to a lot of the tankier comps that we see. Tam can be another brawler which can kind of get hunkered down, and the healing station can provide a lot of value to your team at the same time. I think it's going to be an interesting one with these particular bans, though, in play. A lot of these brawlers would lend themselves really nicely in split, so going to be very interested to see how these two teams choose to counter one another and what they choose to go with.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the bans already applied a bit for Siege, but now in Hot Zone and afterwards in Heist, this is really where they're going to be a very strong tool for TIG to utilize. The question is, are they going to be able to utilize it to its fullest potential? Are they able to capitalize on that to actually pick up some games, pick up some sets? That's a whole different story, right? So far, we have had some really hopeful stuff from TIG. They are the team that's the most likely to take down Nova Esports from that throne, but they haven't been very successful at it so far.
Lou's an interesting pick straight off the bat by Jason. We saw Lou played really nicely well. I believe it was in Sneaky Fields, actually. And also a ban for Lou, so the team's definitely taking that brawler seriously, and a nice ice block from Jason. He will probably go down to this, but at the same time, Plus as well, just putting some pressure onto OU on that bottom left-hand side there. Edgar's a good choice as well, but I think Edgar's going to run into some problems without some heals, and yeah, that's one miss there in that exact instance from Plus. Could have missed that from TIG as Origin, as Nova Esports really start to gain a lead here.
Yeah, that's a solid start on their end. Nice super. That's going to be doing a good job at isolating that Poco from the Rosa and basically making it a free kill for Shui. Shui goes for the jump in onto Today. He goes for a follow-up jump but gets taken out as soon as he lands. And things are not looking too bad here for Nova Esports. Spartan going for the jump in as a Poco. It's not the worst decision because he kind of ends up being between two brawlers of his team. He does go down eventually, but we are in the final stretch here for Nova Esports. It doesn't seem like they're really contested all that much in that zone, and Nova Esports pick up the first game in Hot Zone. And we were talking about the fact that the bans were very specific for this map and the next one. it didn't really look that way in game, to be honest. Nova China looking as strong as ever.
Yeah, and that was kind of going back to what I mentioned earlier with regards to TIG Origin. They've really had to place that ban, but then at the same time, they had to be ahead of Nova Esports in terms of their mindset and strategy going into these games. And so far, I've got to say that Nova are looking very, very comfortable. There were some signs of promise, it must be said. I got to say the Edgar choosing to go in and focus on the poker, I think, was a highlight for me. And that was the right strategy to do. I mean, Edgar wouldn't really fare too well against either the Rosa or the Gale in that respect. But, you know, we are seeing TIG just kind of ever so slightly just missing the mark. Nova are very good at securing things. It's close, but not close enough. I mean, they've got to make more opportunities, despite the stats being pretty close for the most part.
Yeah, I don't think the difference was really big here. And as you said, I think that play from the Edgar, where he jumped onto the Poco after his teammate, the Lou, managed to isolate the Rosa from the mix and basically made it, you know, free kill for the Edgar. That was some really solid teamwork, especially. I always love when people help each other out from one lane to the other and use creative things to gain an advantage. Unfortunately, that was kind of a one-time thing, and the rest of the game was just really one-sided in favor of Nova Esports. I do agree. We're seeing some pretty good stuff from TIG. Even throughout the entire day, we've seen some very solid stuff from them. I definitely think that they deserve to be in those grand finals. The problem is Nova Esports, they just still look pretty dominant, even against a team like TIG.
But TIG can counter Nova Esports. They've got to think this way and start to play against Nova at their own game. Like, breaking open the map here for me is the go-to. I mean, Rosa is going to be a struggle to take down. There's no doubt about it. You know, focusing some firepower and prioritizing her, I think is a good idea. But, you know, honestly, a lot of this comp is designed to use the map to their advantage. You know, Gale wants to hide behind cover, gain super, and then push you away. But being outranged, he's not really going to be able to do anything at all, nor is the Rosa. So if TIG really think this through, work together, change out some brawlers, bring in Colt into the mix, some B into the mix, something long range, and really just blow the map wide open. But we're not going to see that.
We're going to see the mirror matchup, and yeah, I'm not too sure if I like that all that much, Ark. I feel like they had such a creative way of banning brawlers and taking their own way of approaching this match, specifically for this set, that going for almost a full-on mirror matchup does not really feel like utilizing that to the full extent, you know? Like, I feel like they could have done more with that.
I was kind of questioning myself whether Lou would be great. I think Jason's playing it very well, actually, to be fair, and shutting things down. But ideally, you know, you've just got to make sure that you're securing the kills, because Lou Super's not going to really do much in that respect. You've got to use it as an attribute towards securing those kills. Definitely better, though, from TIG Origins, but we have seen this before, and Nova Esports have been able to gain and regain control time and time again. Will TIG now be able to secure this round and start to gain some momentum in this matchup today?
It seems very much possible, as they do have a solid lead. They are capturing that right side zone, and today decided to go on the aggressive. It's not going to be paying off, and finally TIG, something going their way. I was criticizing their decision to copy that right-hand lane. I take it back. It seems like it worked out in the end. I do want to say that, honestly, I feel like Jason did such an amazing job. There was a double kill from Jason with, I think it was with plus. Absolutely beautiful right here. Look at this. He picks up one, comes back on the right side, and manages to pick up kill number 2. That was a beautiful play that I think was the big difference maker in this game.
Yeah, for me, it goes back to the ice block that originated that move, and just being able to stay alive until he got the heal from Plus, a big factor there. And there you see the comparison as well between Espartam and Plus. Plus definitely getting more DPS, and you know, doesn't really go into much more detail about the healing side, but from my observations, I would say that Plus was getting some really good moments for healing. And you know, again, I still stand by what I said, and I think that if you break open the map, this comp will definitely struggle if a TIG choose to do that approach. I think now would be a great time, a bit of a risky time, because obviously they're starting to build momentum, and they did play, in fairness to them, a much better round. But you know, in the signs for me that don't show much willingness to adapt could be kind of showing a little bit too being too reliant on things that worked well in scrims. And I do see like the best teams for me, like will actually swap out a winning comp despite having had a really good round with it, just to keep players on their toes. I'd be surprised if both teams do go in with the same comps all over again. I'm kind of wanting someone to mix things up here.
Yeah, I completely agree. I feel like that's something that gets kind of overlooked, especially when people kind of get into competitive. They think that if you win with a comp, it's the best comp, you got to keep playing it. Maybe it is the best comp, but even then, you're making yourself predictable. You're making yourself open for more counters. And that's something you don't want to be, you don't want to be playing around, right? You want to be as unpredictable as you can. You want to be constantly bringing up fresh stuff, so that people, they can't just watch one of your matches and know exactly how you're going to be plus one.
Yeah, and you know, arguably it could be said that maybe a long-ranged approach wouldn't benefit the playstyles of these particular players, and that could be true. So, but we did see some really great results, and we have already today in the mainland China region seen some great results with B, with Colt, 8-bit. It struggled. I would say that, you know, it can work super well if you're very, very protective of your damage booster and great at sharing that amongst your teammates. But, you know, players like and teams like SK Gaming, for example, in the EMEA region have just shown how dominant, you know, just breaking open the map can be and landing those long-range shots. I'm curious to see what these teams will bring in going into what will be our third matchup for Hot Zone.
Indeed, this is the decider for set number 2, the chance for Nova Esports to go the distance 2-0 or for TIG Origin to tie things up. And we have a completely different comp on both sides, and we have some similarities here. Shui and Plusha keeping that Rosa Poco combo, but we have a Frank to replace the Rosa for Nova, as well as a Sprout on TIG and Colonel Ruffs for Nova Esports.
Yeah, I was kind of curious about the Ruffs pick for myself, just but I think I've got to say, Odie did a great job of obtaining super early on to break that wall. But again, you see it there how he's going to struggle. I feel a little bit against the Rosa there, just kind of like hunkering down. Sue doing a great job of just protecting that zone. Today looking to gain super, and he has obtained it. Will he connect? He will only connect with Blast. He'll pick up the kill, however, but Shu just continuing on that left-hand side lane with the aggression there. A bit out of position. He's going to struggle with the respawn in. This is actually becoming a relatively close affair, I would say, between these two teams. Finally, a bit of fight coming in with the TIG Origin.
Yeah, this is some pretty good stuff, but look at this Nova Esports kind of going the distance at this point. It is definitely still possible for TIG to come back if they can get today out of the zone, but Jason gave up, I believe, for a couple of seconds. I'm not exactly sure what was going on, and that extra DPS could have been quite useful to pick up the kill. Well, who knows what happened there, but Nova Esports pick up that set. It's a bit of a shame for TIG because this was their chance to be the first team taking a set from Nova Esports. Kind of, you know what we talked before the match started about challenging them and about putting them in an uncomfortable position, because that's something we see very often in sports and esports in general. When you have a team that's very much used to winning, sometimes they're not really the best at losing. And I feel like that was the way to go for TIG. Does not work out in the end, and Nova Esports with a solid lead, looking to get a repeat from last month, Ark.
Yeah, for me, the stutter walk from, I think it was today, says it already. I know feeling very confident about this and feeling they're making the right decisions, but I've got to go back to what I was saying before. And honestly, looking back at the comp that Nova ran in that final round, you know, the long-ranged approach would have absolutely done TIG the world of good here. Frank would have been able to do nothing. Ruffs would have been outranged. Poco can only heal if he can obtain the heal in the first place. So, you know, DeCapo's only going to go so far as a star power. I think that if TIG had kind of gone in with a risky play there and kind of maybe gone with something a little bit more out of their you know, comfort zone, it would have definitely done them some favors. But as a result of that, Nova continue this deja vu of last month and are fast approaching again a second monthly final finish on a 3-0 against the same team, TIG Origin.
Yeah, I saw a bit more healing there on the Rosa, so for TIG. But I can kind of maybe also show that there was more healing on the side of Nova. But here we go. Hot Potato is going to be our third set, potentially the final one for today, for this region, at least for mainland China. As, yeah, so far, a lot of a Nova Esports show. TIG showing some strength here and there, but still not able to really convert enough games and sets their way. It is improving from set to set, so maybe in this third set they will actually be able to pick up a second game. We'll find out. What are your expectations regarding the comps arc?
I just want to see some variations starting to occur and some changes. I got to say, TIG have shown some moments of flurry and promise, and you know, but still, again, just kind of missing the mark every now and again in moments where they could have capitalized more and continued to hold and remain in control. That's their weakness for me at the moment. I think in terms of brawler comps here, again, if you're just joining the stream, reminder of the bands being Barley, Stu, Rico, and BB. So Rico and BB here are the big ones for me that would have lent themselves really, really nicely to Hot Potato. Rico mid, as you guys know, I always vouch for. I love to see it in Hot Potato all the time. I prefer mid, but lane is still a good option too. I think Sprout, as a result of that Barley ban, could be an ideal brawler. Had a recent nerf, but still in a pretty decent place and had some good play rates and success rates earlier today. I would be surprised to see a Ruffs actually, as we already saw in that last matchup with Nova Esports opting to go for that particular brawler as a good kind of like option to have in the event of Rico being banned, and a couple of other things. I would say Amber potentially, but less so. We've seen her today. Definitely the options are available for both of these two teams.
Yeah, I agree. I think Jesse could be an opportunity for the middle as well. Yeah, I think this is the kind of map where you can go crazy. You can see a lot of brawlers that are not at all in the meta, like Daryl pop off once in a while. And just overall tanky compositions can be played, throwers can be played. Obviously, you know, Barley being the best of them right now and not being in the mix, that's not the most helpful. But I think you can still get some work done with Sprout, with some good control. You can block off some very important choke points towards the middle. So the possibilities are there for TIG to get a bit more creative and try to really utilize those bans at the highest efficiency, because I can tell you, Nova, they're probably not really expecting those bans to come true, and they might not have been scrimming for comps that those bans would be countering. So we could get some interesting dynamics, but it's really gonna come down to getting some solid comps down from TIG.
Now, one brawler that I've got to bring up, as I saw it in the Twitch chat earlier today, and rightly so, it is a mammoth has been stricken down, it seems, in terms of the meta. Mr. P has been like the strongest brawler for a very, very long time. And that's one brawler that we have not seen played at all today. Hasn't been banned. It was one of those brawlers which we saw time and time again being banned across the regions. You know, whether that's just restricted to the mainland China meta and how players are feeling about that particular brawler since those balance changes, but it does seem to me like that reduction in main attack and the poor to health has had a big impact in this region in particular.
Yeah, I completely agree. I actually noticed it like yesterday because at a community event, and he was played one game out of like 40 games, which is like going from the brawler that had from far the highest pick rate because he wasn't banned all that much and he was getting picked like on every single map somehow. Like you would even see him on Snake Prairie, which is saying a lot considering, you know, design wise, it's probably not the first choice you would think about. He's really fell off, and sometimes you can see that some slight changes can really make a huge difference about the playability of a brawler.
Well, you were right about the Daryl, and I was right about the Ruffs. It seems Colette as a good choice as well. I think Edgar here definitely struggling and may continue to do so. I think the Ruffs would probably be a good shout, or maybe the Colette to focus on here. But at the moment, It is Nova. Well, actually shut down really nicely. TIG on a good defense, but yeah, maybe the Colette not the best of choices. A good amount of teamwork and good body blocking there from Today as well to sort of delay the advance plus obtaining some of that damage. Colette will do a little bit with chip damage, but really what the Colette wants to achieve here is a super and cycle that damage from the super onto the safe, and plus did obtain that, but they'll be able to really use it much on defense.
Yeah, the dive from Today does find a bit of value with a nice super from Colette as well. We do have Shui that has managed to sneak through that defense, and he's going to be getting some nice damage down. It is Nova with a pretty decent start. And if you look at this, the biggest problem here for TIG is they can't deal with those sandbags. They have no zone damage whatsoever. That's already game. That's match point coming up, Ark. I don't even have time to explain anything that's going on. That save went from like 50% to 0 in like the span of 5 seconds. That was a lot of damage from Nova Esports. And good decision making, going for full offense, letting the Edgar slip through because they knew that they would have enough damage, that the odds were in their favor if they went for the 3 versus 2 and let the Edgar get free tags. So I respect that a whole lot. Not an easy decision to take either. Yeah, what were your thoughts, Ark?
I think the comps that they ran were kind of pretty much interesting for the most part, and yeah, what we expected to see. I think that Nova still are putting a ton of pressure on TIG, and now there's no time now for TIG to really respond to that pressure, and the stats demonstrate that very same story. Almost 4 times the damage to the safe from the Colette on the TIG side. So that is a prime candidate to put damage on the safe, and it just wasn't happening. Nova are just continuing this same consistency and world-class plays that we've seen into yet another monthly final. Match point now, and a chance to remain the champions as they were and successful in doing so last month.
Yeah, and I just want to point out, man, that really big damage disparity on the Colette. Those are due to her having way more supers, which means that not only was she dealing more damage to save, she was also getting those supers, which for you need to reload them, right? You need to get more tags, therefore probably more kills, and just overall getting so much extra value. So yeah, solid work there from Nova Esports. I mean, man, they truly want to keep that title of champions of mainland China, and they're on a terrific way to getting there. Once again, TIG in a do or die situation. They absolutely need to win this next game, or it's going to be the end of the journey with a same scoreline as last month. And oddly enough, I think it would be the exact same like games won on both sides, because if I remember correctly, TIG picked up 1 game last month, and they've picked up only 1 game so far in this one as well. This is truly history repeating itself, unless TIG can break the cycle.
Yeah, last month it was 3-1 in favor of TIG Origin against Trick of China. So, this region is looking very similar to last month. And, I'm kind of surprised. I often find that, those kind of opportunities present themselves in a way which comes back around, and teams want to fight back harder and put more hours into their scrims and their preparations to really kind of like prove it to be a one-off and regain some face in that side of things. I think that TIG have had opportunities, and they've just got to make the control count for them more. And at the moment they're good at getting some kills and then getting some of the objective at hand. But then when it comes down to it, they're just not able to hold those positions long enough to see it through.
Yeah, I could not agree more, Ark. We have some interesting changes regarding the comps, as Shui went for the M's as a direct counter to the Daryl. The problem here for TIG is that Daryl is out of the picture here, as Today switch over to Nita. So we'll see how that's going to be turning out. We have the jazzy on OU as well. Today does fall to Shui, so not all that bad, but damage-wise, it's very close between both teams.
Yeah, much closer. It's still early days. 1 minute 30 still on the clock. There's just a turret going down there for defensive purposes, but the damage will rain in. from plus for TIG. So again, that same story of TIG showing some promise and getting some of the objectives. But what we're seeing more often than not is this kind of same similar story recurring of not being able to hold that position, and they've got to stay alive here, work together as a team, start communicating more effectively as a team to get these shutdowns, because and that's better actually. Today goes down, as does the Bear, leaving his teammates to carry the mantle now. Those rough sandbags won't fare well at all for Jason. We're cautious of his position as Jesse being a direct counter of that. But definitely a much better pace from TIG, who are holding their own this time around.
Yeah, I like them slowing things down and not going all aggressively like Nova Esports tend to do, which Nova being so far, you know, the better team, you maybe don't want to face them in what they do best. So taking a step back and fighting from a distance is definitely the way to go for TIG. They are behind once again, though. It is only 20%. We've had way more convincing games for Nova Esports, as Shui is pushing forward, getting some nice damage down. Actually, almost takes the lead, but it's just not enough. Can that dive be enough? The Bear deals so much damage, Arc. I think that could be it here. It seems like Nova Esports, yeah, indeed, they are your champions once again here for Mainland China. I mean, Nova Esports, they are the titans of the region, and we have you know, revenge opportunity gone wrong here for TIG, as history just repeats itself. And yeah, it's quite incredible that they win with exactly the same amounts of games won and lost here, specifically to this final match. I mean, man, I feel like Mainland China is showing us some really good stuff, Ark.
I'm there for the win. As you can see, actually, that making a bit of a comeback for me in Heist. I did notice again some continued promise up until the final moments from TIG. The M's was very patient and slow to make sure that they got that final shred of damage, but the Hyper Bear on the defensive side at the other end of the field just doing its thing, and there was no competition in that respect. Nova Esports have been so consistent and confident. You can see it in their playstyle in various moments where, you know, again, we saw in Hot Zone some stutter walking and such, some pins, and that to me is always a sign of confidence. And you know, I think at one point even TIG, I think it was Jason, stopped playing, and those things, you know, tell a bigger story than sometimes what we see on the immediate surface. It's getting inside the mind of your opposition, and you know, the scoreboard is a true reflection of that same thing. Good choices from Nova, and a bit of a hesitance from TIG Origin to really adapt to their playstyle. And with a team like Nova Esports that are being this strong in the competition, you've got to do that and try to play them at their own game.
Yeah, I feel like TIG has shown some much better stuff. I feel like the scene overall has improved quite a lot from just, you know, a 1 month difference, and even more if you look at a couple of months ago for the last season. But Nova China are still the dominant team, and they're getting to a point where they might start becoming a danger for some international matchups, you know, if they were to make it to Worlds, which is looking good for them so far. They are looking like a good team to represent China for sure. Really solid stuff, man. Really solid stuff from Nova China. They keep the throne for now. 2 months in a row where they take first place, 2 months in a row where they don't lose a single set. I think that's as convincing as it gets, Ark.
I mean, you know, they are and have proven themselves to be a fantastic flagship for Mainland China, and you know, teams that go on to play at Worlds, you know, always show a good high level of skill and persistence to continue that kind of reign on a region. I'm kind of curious to hear actually what Falcone has to make of those games. He's going to be joining us right now. Falcone, what did you make of that one?
Honestly, Ark, the one word that springs to mind is fast. You know, a best out of 5 finals. I expected to be able to sit back and enjoy my popcorn for a little bit longer while you guys were casting. But honestly, Nova absolutely, they trashed it. They absolutely kicked TIG's butts, and TIG are going to have some work to do, because this is the rivalry we want to see. We want to see TIG fighting neck and neck against Nova, but apparently they're just not quite there yet. But I guess we'll see it again next month and see if they've developed.
Going to be a chance to go back to the drawing board as we go back to the leaderboards, actually, and just kind of revise and refresh ourselves on how everything went down today. Teddie, talk us through it.
Yeah, so first off the bracket here, you can see Nova China. Let's focus on them. They have an easy win against Jazzy, convincing win against ATM as well. And obviously, you just saw it in the grand finals, taking down TIG Origin in a bit of a repeat of history from last month. Same grand finals here for the monthly finals, and the same exact results. Convincing stuff.
Yeah, Nova Esports lead the way, but let's take a look at our leaderboards for the region now as we refresh our minds on how those points are shaping up. Falcone, yeah, and this time maybe you took us through it.
Well, mainland China is looking like one of these regions where there is a reasonable skill gap between the top few teams. We've got Nova Esports sitting very comfortably on top with 228 points. TIG Origin are in second, and again, it's quite a comfortable lead above Trick of China, who they have beaten 2 weeks in a row. Trick of China do sit in third, being the third sort of front runner with a significant lead. And of course, there are 3 qualification spots, as we can see represented by the little badges in the top left corner. So at the moment, if things don't change, it's looking like this might be plain sailing for them. But of course, there's still plenty of months left to go in this region, and anything can happen.
So much opportunity this year in the competition, in the format especially, and you know, got to be said as well, go back to the beginning of today, you know, getting to this stage is a monumental victory for sure, and maintaining that. Any particular thoughts from you, Teddie, today? What's really stood out to you as being a particular highlight?
I mean, I think the overall dominance from Nova China continuing is really impressive, because usually what you tend to see in those situations, especially, you know, really early in the scene for mainland China, is that the teams are quicker to catch up than to keep raising their dominance and their level when they're on the top. So it's extremely impressive that they managed to be dominating consistently for months and months now already, whether it's this season or the last season. They are the team to beat. They are the final boss of mainland China. And yeah, so far, no one has been able to take them down. I'm looking forward to see how that's going to be, you know, changing up in those next couple of months, if some teams are actually able to challenge them and maybe steal a couple of wins here and there.
Yeah, the level 99 boss yet to show its final form in the evolution process. But well, let's take a look at today's play of the day. I'm really curious. I've got a couple of ideas myself as to what it may have been. But Falcone, talk us through the moment and tell us why it was so special.
Well, here we go. TIG Origin versus Trick of China. This was the game where we were talking about the defenses being destroyed by Shui. And just look at how TIG are pushing forwards. However, we've got Surge on the right side just being suppressed by Jason, not able to do that much at all. And this was the big moment at the end of the game where Colette, Colt, and Byron all came together to clutch out the win. In this game, it really looked like Trick of China were going to make a comeback, or they had made a comeback. They were winning percentage-wise, and out of nowhere, with less than 5 seconds on the clock, TIG were able to just take that safe down to a lower percentage than theirs. They were able to just win the game, essentially.
Yeah, they were behind and came back in spectacular fashion, so congratulations to them. You know, that's the mainland China region wrapped up, as it was the East Asia region earlier this morning wrapped up. But we've got one more monthly final left to go, guys, and that will be coming to you tomorrow. LATAM South region will be kicking things off from 4 p.m. BRT, so do not miss that. Make sure you are following at Brawl_Esports on Twitter. That is where you get your reminders. Or if you're watching on Twitch, make sure that you hit the follow button. If you're watching on YouTube, of course, the subscribe button. Very many things that you can do to make sure that you're not missing out on any of the action But Falcone, talk us through today. Any final thoughts you want to just get out there before we end today?
My final thought is that, similar to what I said before, mainland China is a really interesting region to follow. Again, they haven't had the game for as long as the other regions. So in a way, it's a meta that's still evolving a little bit behind the other regions. But this is really their year, I think, to play catch up. And for some of the teams that are a little bit lower down to sort of catch up to Nova, maybe even try and overtake them. And for the whole of mainland China to get up to the same level as the rest of the world, which I think by the end of this year, they will be.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think the meta is definitely shifting and changing and showing more signs of synergy with others. Teddie, again, from yourself, any final thoughts?
Yeah, it's going to be hard after that beautiful speech from Falcone. I completely agree. I think that we can expect some very good level of gameplay for the rest of the season. Obviously, right now, you have one team that is absolutely dominating, but that also means that there is going to be a Titan coming into Worlds potentially if they keep going like this, and that can really stand a chance here to represent China proudly.
Exactly that. The Titans are definitely still reigning victorious and will look to do so next month in the mainland China region. I've got to say a huge thank you and massive shout out to Supercell, to Vindex, for Esports Engine, for all their hard work in the background, and all the people on those teams working tirelessly to keep the cogs turning in the Brawl Esports machine. It's been a massively exciting day. It will continue again tomorrow. That shout out again for the time is 4 p.m. BRT, so the time zones, just go to your, clock calculators and just do those calculations. But that is going to wrap up everything for today, my friends. From myself, from Falcone, from Teddie, we wish you all a very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Goodbye for now. Take care. Mm-hmm.